Go ahead and open the council meeting for Wednesday, September 4th, 2013, Oceanside City Council, Harbor District, CDC. Roll call, please.
Mayor Wood?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Kern?
Here.
Councilmember Zeller?
Here.
Councilmember Feline?
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez is absent.
Thank you. Our city attorney.
Thank you. Council meeting closed session to discuss the following items. Item 1, conference with labor negotiator involving the Oceanside City Employees Association. Item 2A, conference with real property negotiator involving the approximately 21 acres at Pala Road near Los Arbolitos Boulevard. Negotiating party City of Oceanside, Concordia Communities, Hallmark Communities, and Hillcrest Homes. Under negotiations, price and terms for the sale of the property. Item 2B.
Just on item 2A, I'll have to recuse myself since I own property within the 500-foot limit.
Thank you. Item 2B, conference with real property negotiator involving a portion of the San Luis Rey Water Reclamation Facility. Negotiating parties City of Oceanside and Co-Gentrex and W Power LLC. Under negotiation, price and terms for the lease of the property. Item 3, public employee appointment involving the city manager. Item 4, pending litigation involving Gregory Hawk versus City of Oceanside, Workers' Compensation Appeals Board number ADJ 708-1301.
Adjourn to close. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get started here. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Wood,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Kern,
Here.
Councilmember Feline, Councilmember Feller, and Councilman Sanchez will be arriving shortly.
Thank you very much. With that, are there any items removed from the calendar?
Consent calendar items are items 5 through 12. Item number 13 has been removed from the agenda by staff, and then we have items 14 through 16. Item number 17 has been removed for discussion by public.
Thank you. We'll
Move approval.
second for the please vote.
Sorry, the vote seems to not go through on the computer that time. Could we please take a revote? I do apologize.
I didn't hear that.
Push the button again.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
sorry,
didn't hear
there was a
him.
computer
Sorry.
glitch.
Thank you. Please vote.
All right, motion approved 4-0. Sorry.
Items that we pulled out of there, please.
Item number 17 is adoption of a resolution approving and implementing the MOU between the City and the Oceanside City Employees Association, effective September 4th, 2013 through June 30th, 2015.
Thank you. Mr. Feller? Oh, I thought I had put down Feller. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's the public who came forward. So we have a number of speakers on this item. First, we have William Tuck. Mr. Tuck may come forward for 3 minutes to speak on this item. At this point in time, I do not see Mr. Tuck. Next, we have Roberta Rodriguez.
Good evening.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Mike?
Okay. Now can you hear me? Is it on?
Yes.
Yes, okay. My name is Roberta Rodriguez. I reside at 1165 Breakaway Drive in Oceanside. I have been a dedicated city employee for over 34 years. Today I am here to ask the City Council delay taking action on item 17 for adoption of resolution approving OCA's MOU. By delaying this item, OCA members would have more time to further discuss possibilities of the medical options. Following the OCA bylaws, to request a special meeting of the membership, 47 signatures were obtained. I understand that a special meeting of the OCA membership could be held on Tuesday, September 10th. The reason for this request is to be able to further discuss the medical insurance options and to thoroughly inform all the members of all ramifications of going with the Teamsters standalone medical insurance. At previous OCA meetings, not everything was spelled out clearly to the membership present at each meeting. Our only option when the vote was held was to accept or reject a Teamster Kaiser standalone medical. Medical insurance is a very important part of some employees' lives. This not only affects current OCA employees, but retirees in and out of state and college-age dependents out of state. Thank you for your time.
Roberta, do you have any sign forms?
I did. I gave the sign forms to our OCA president, and I also delivered to Councilmember Sanchez's office this morning a copy of those.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Steve Kemp.
Hi. Good afternoon. You can adjust that mic up. You're a little bit taller.
Is this fine?
That's fine.
My name's Steve Kemp. I've been a city employee for about 27 years, probably 25 of them as a good employee. First two were a little shaky. But the reason I'm here is to ask for a continuance on approving the OCA MOU. And the reason I'm asking for this is I do not believe that the vote for Kaiser only was done procedurally or properly done. It did not follow the association bylaws, which I didn't have at the time, but I got them this week. A special meeting was called for by Don Salazar. There was a notice we were given, and the notice said it was for a ratification vote. There was no mention that medical was going to get discussed again. And the bylaw says no business shall be transacted at a special meeting other than that for which the meeting was called. We were all thrown a curveball in that meeting, and I don't believe that all the members were aware that there was going to be a vote for the Kaiser only at that point. There was no mention of reopening the medical. It was just a surprise to us. Also, Robert's Rules of Order, which the bylaws say is the procedure we follow, there was supposed to be a call for a vote, if you could vote at all, which there never was a call for a vote, and there was never a motion to second that vote either. So procedurally, nothing was done correctly. There was a hand vote taken, what I assumed was for information only by Don Salazar. The majority that were present did vote for Kaiser only, but I don't feel that the other employees were represented. If they would have known about it, they would have shown for the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Doug Bear.
Hi.
My name is Doug Bear. I reside at 672 Edgewater Avenue. I've been a city employee for about 22 years. And I just believe choice is a lot better than being stipulated that we have to accept this one Teamster plan. So I pretty much concur with the previous speakers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Don Salazar.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Don Salazar, president of OCA. I've been with the city 25 plus years. I've been on the OCA board for approximately 13, president last year. We started negotiations this spring. We've had, just to kind of walk you through all this, we've had meetings to my members on 5/21, 7/9, 8/12, 8/20, and the ratification vote on 8/27. I've sent out flyers, posted flyers. We have a website that my vice president posts everything to give our members plain notification of what's going on. First few meetings, there's 25 people. The second meeting was up to 42. We were going to ratify on the 20th, but on the week before, United Healthcare raised the Teamster rates on us, so we came back to the members and didn't do a ratification vote. There were 73 people at that meeting. I asked several times. We were going to go back to the city's plan and then realized somebody brought up if we could just do a Kaiser Teamster only medical. Several times I asked in that meeting, are you sure you want to do a Teamster Kaiser only? I did a show of hands. Of the 73, 8 were against that. I feel that we've given our members plenty of notification. I can't make 300 people come to a meeting if they don't want to come. That's my biggest concern with my group. We had a ratification on the 27th. 115 voted for the contract, 46 against. That's 2.5 to 1 vote for us to continue with the Kaiser. I sympathize with these people that don't want to change their doctors. I personally have to change doctors. But I have to go with the majority of my members saying, we want to have this contract. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last, we have Chester Morticini.
Good evening, Chester.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor Jim Wood, and Council members Sanchez, Kern, Feller, Shalene, Attorney Mullen, and Peter Weiss, City Manager. I just wanted to recap what Don said. You all know, we've met with the leadership of the council through the whole process. We've been at negotiations from late spring through we went to impasse, and we had an impasse meeting with the city manager on July 8th. We reached a tentative agreement from July 8th through August 28th. We had informational membership meetings with our members. They showed up, they understood what was going on. The OCEA has a tentative agreement with the city that we reached as a result of breaking the impasse, so we didn't go to fact-finding and all that. What the Teamsters are advising OCEA, that we're calling for the vote tonight by the council, as it is your obligation to vote, because that's part of the process. We fulfilled our obligation by reaching a tentative agreement with the city, notifying our membership, publicizing a ratification meeting, giving every employee in the OCEA bargaining unit an opportunity to vote, whether they were working or they could show up. And the majority of the members that voted, 115 to 46, 2.5 to 1, voted to accept the tentative agreement. So now I believe under the law, it's the obligation of the council to accept the tentative agreement as negotiated with your city manager on July 8th. We had the impasse meeting on July 8th. On July 9th, we informed the membership meeting, in a membership meeting, the direction that we were going in. We had 4 successive meetings after that. So this issue that no one knew or wasn't aware of what was going on is completely inaccurate. So there's going to be my advice to the OCEA, there'll be no revote of the tentative agreement, because the tentative agreement stands. I mean, you guys as councilmen understand, once you vote, it's a vote. And to go back and tell 115 members that 46 are going to decide to revote it, it's not in the cards. I've been doing this for 25 years. We're not going to engage in an unfair labor practice, not only with OCEA or with this council. We ratified the tentative agreement. Now, under the law, it's your obligation to accept the ratification and vote today to ratify the tentative agreement, because we need to get on with the open enrollment and making the medical change. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further public at this time.
Thank you. Back to the council. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I apologize for stepping in at 10 after the hour. I did catch the talks of some of the people who were here. The first time this came before us, I actually voted for. I assume that, everyone knows what's going on. I assume that the employees are well represented, and I assume that there is an equal bargaining that is taking place. I have since then, and for me this is a change of circumstances, I have since then inquired about what this would do for all of our city employees. That is, those not in this bargaining unit, understanding that there was some kind of history where originally the thought was that the Teamsters offer would, for the health benefits, health insurance, would actually be available, would actually allow United Healthcare as well as Kaiser. Well, I understand that changed, that it's only Kaiser, and in effect, that jeopardizes all the other city employees' ability to have a choice. So I do have some concerns. I don't feel that I have all the information. Normally, as I said, I respect the bargaining process. This is certainly something that was between the representatives from the city manager's office and representatives of the city employees organization. But there are things happening outside of this. This is not just impacts that would happen to within the employees. Granted, whether or not they fully understand what happened, I'm assuming that you gave notice to the employees that you have 300 and 114 showed up or something like that. I am concerned about the impacts to other employees. So I'm going to respectfully, without really truly understanding completely how we're going to avoid this impact to other city employee units and those unrepresented, I am going to respectfully either abstain or vote against. As I said, I had voted for it thought that everything was, and this is highly unusual. We've never had this before, where you have a broker that is coming in that is not a broker that has been working with the city. This is a different broker. This is its Teamsters' own broker, and so I was very much, didn't really understand how this process was going to really fare out. I assumed everything would be the same. Okay, I guess this is just, the only difference is this is a different broker. Whether it's a Teamsters, whether it's some other broker that you brought in, you were able to negotiate a better health benefits, health insurance. Now, I understand the goal for everyone and for all of us is to try to bring down those health care costs. Absolutely. That's something that we're trying to do at every single chance that we get. And certainly that's what I understand that this bargaining unit intended to do. I'm sure that you did not intend to make things unequal for anyone at all. I'm just concerned that unintended consequences are impacts to other employee units. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fellaini, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This is, as Councilman Sanchez points out, a very frustrating issue because we're dealing with the soaring costs of health care and the challenge it presents to the city, to the union leadership, to the union membership, and try and struggle with this issue, and all of us try and work through it to a satisfactory conclusion. Now, did I understand correctly from Roberta, did you submit the petition with 25 signatures for a meeting? Okay, and that's acknowledged to be received. Now, then I guess if I can ask the union rep to come back down. Now that you're in possession of that petition, what do your bylaws require you to do?
My bylaws for that petition, that 25 outstanding members can request a special meeting. Reading the bylaws, I have to give a minimum of 24-hour notice, but also give all the membership the prerogative, the rights to kind of schedule to be this meeting. I talked to Roberta this afternoon. I said if this still goes through, she wants a special meeting, I would have it on the 10th.
Now, from the standpoint, since you've submitted the tentative contract with the signatures approved by your union, if at this meeting a majority of the members agree with Roberta and they say, whoops, I didn't understand what we were dealing with, I believe we should go in a different direction, is that possible?
115 members, there was 161 members that voted last Tuesday. 115 voted for this contract. There was we had a little meeting before we counted the votes, only 25 stayed. People just wanted to vote, so I had a committee come in, set up, they come in, voted, put it in the box. It was a closed box until we had 2 members that weren't affiliated with the negotiation team count the numbers. My feeling is I had 115 want this contract out of, 49 didn't want it. We have 300 members. I can't make those 139 members show up. So I feel we had a majority. I have to go with what my members tell me. This isn't, I understand, just sympathize with them and think, but, we had a United Healthcare and a Kaiser. Somewhere along the line, somebody got to United Healthcare and they jumped up our prices extensively, more than what the city's planning. We met before the 20th meeting as a negotiation committee and said, okay, this is what's happening. We'll bring it back to the members. We'll have to go back to the city plan. It brought up in conversation during the meeting that people said, well, can't we just do a Kaiser-only Teamsters? Yes. I asked approximately 3 times, do you understand that we're only going to have Kaiser, United Healthcare? Several times I asked, 3 times, to make sure they understood that it was just a Kaiser-only plan, Teamster Kaiser-only plan. They said yes. I did a show of hands. Approximately out of 73, only 8 were against.
Okay, now, and of course, I wasn't at the meeting, but there's basically concerns by some people that the meeting wasn't properly handled according to the procedures. Now, I am assuming as part of the contract process, and I'll call on the city attorney to correct me if I'm wrong, that there's some boilerplate language that says that according to the rules of our union, the majority have approved this contract. And I'll ask the city attorney and then, offer your input. If for some reason we believe that hasn't been met, I mean, do we have any legal right to challenge that assertion? Or are we just walking on the plank here?
No, I think it's the responsibility. If there's a dispute between the members about the process, then that has to be handled by them. That's not the city's responsibility. They have represented that their agreement has been ratified. And they have represented that they have the authority to sign the agreement, and that is contained within the agreement.
So the city then, if members disagree with that conclusion, it's an internal matter of the union and the city. I know we're trying to address the moral issue, but from the legal standpoint, we don't, in effect, have a case.
Well, it's your decision today to decide whether or not you want to approve the agreement. Under the Myers-Milius-Brown Act, a tentative agreement's not binding on the council until you bring it in and vote to approve it. So your decision today really should be, is this a good or bad contract for the city? Do you want to approve it? The dispute about if there is a dispute about what the members knew when they voted, again, is really for the members to resolve amongst themselves. Again, it's been represented to the city that this agreement has been properly ratified, and that really is what we should go off of. Again, your decision today is whether you want to ratify the tentative or not, based on the terms of the agreement.
And I assume you wouldn't concur with the
Yes.
opinion of the city manager. I guess I didn't get quite a clear answer on like I said, I understand the challenges of getting people to a meeting and discussing complicated issues. But if a majority for some reason felt they'd gone down the wrong road, is that avenue open, or is it basically shut since you've certified that you have a tentative contract and it was...
No, I don't think so, because I've got 45 signatures. There was 49 against. So it's still basically the same amount of people that were against this. It wasn't there wasn't 100 more people, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't think that we should go back to a vote, because there wasn't a big significant change in the people that were against this. Because I got to look at the majority of the people that wanted this compared to that didn't want this, and it's still about the same amount of people that didn't want this that signed this paper they gave me this afternoon.
Okay, and then if the city council goes ahead and votes for the contract this evening, and through the union meeting process over the next year, the membership decides they went down the wrong road, how does that process work as we get to the negotiations, or actually to the open enrollment for the next year?
I'll let Chester answer that, because I'm not real familiar.
At this point in time, we've committed to the Teamster Trust, which we have 68,000 members, participating members in it, with about 180,000 bodies, or belly buttons they call them, with the dependents. So we have been able to offer the membership a considerable savings, and most of these members voted their paycheck. Virtually no one's going to be paying out of pocket for the first year. The second year, they're going to, with the increases that we anticipate, there'll be a little bit of out of pocket for the families, but for the most part, for the next 2 renewal years, it's going to be very positive for the OCA members. But 2 years from now, when we go back into negotiations, if the relationship hasn't worked out, then the membership can tell the board at that time that if they want to change back to the city plan, we can come back in and negotiate that, and attempt to negotiate that with all of you. And the other part of this whole thing is with the issue with United Healthcare, it was your current broker that got to United Healthcare that caused United Healthcare to evaluate this group as a high-risk group, and United Healthcare represented to our trustees at their trust meeting that this was a high-risk group, and they were, our trustees got cold feet, and so they had United Healthcare reevaluate the costs, and the costs went through the roof. And so we brought that back to the membership. Membership voted to move in a direction to deal with medical, just like you guys are dealing with medical. You guys have issues with medical costs. The employees have issues with medical costs. And you know what the medical cost is out of pocket for an employee, a family employee in this city, in OCEA? It's $300 a month. Under the city plan, by 2015, with the caps that you guys are imposing on this bargaining unit as a result of negotiations, families will be paying close to between $450 and $500 a month. And our families in OCA can no longer afford that, and the majority of the employees said, we no longer can afford it, let's deal with medical, let's turn it around, and let's see if this affordable health care is going to change the landscape. But we're dealing with medical just like you guys are dealing with medical. We have some employees that are upset. We have employees here that are tied to the Scripps clinics. The Scripps Clinic Medical is the most expensive medical in San Diego County. When you're trying to deal with medical costs, you have to take and educate the employees. They made a decision. Now we're asking you to follow the decision that you basically imposed on us during negotiations to deal with health care. We've dealt with health care. Our members are going to not pay out of pocket. None of our members are going to pay out of pocket for the first year. Second year, it's projected with a 10% increase because we have renewals too, just like the city plan. With a 10% renewal, families will pay about $22 a month out of pocket. So this is a win-win for all sides. I understand that there's impacts on the other groups, but part of the problem with city medical is you've got Medicare eligible people on your plan. You know, most cities in San Diego County have discontinued employees participating on the plan because it drives the age group up, it drives the experience rate up, and it drives your costs up. And we have all of those people that have retired before still on the plan. That's part of what's driving your costs. So we tried to deal with it. We tried to take the direction from the governing body through the negotiating process. We went to impasse. We reached a tentative agreement with your city manager. Now's the time to vote, and we're asking you to call for the vote. Thank you.
Okay. Any of the three city employees who spoke, Roberta or any of your colleagues, is there anything part of the questioning that you felt was overlooked? If you want to come down.
At our meeting on August 27th, our meeting was at 5:30, but voting was allowed to start at 4:15, which in my whole time here at the city, that's never been allowed. Only a proxy for employees that have a working schedule like the shift operators or night shift people. I asked if I could make a motion to not count the votes that night and bring it back with offering us the city's medical or getting us another medical other than Kaiser, and I was told I couldn't make the motion, and I asked why. It was because I said so for the person that I asked. So I feel that I should have been able to make a motion and bring this back to the membership, and they're stating our membership, 161 out of 290 people voted for this. Some people felt that it was a done deal. They didn't need to come and vote. They didn't understand how it affects everybody, and that's why I am requesting a delay to bring this back to the membership and get out there the word to more than just the 160-some people that put in their vote. I spoke at that meeting. I brought out issues that I thought should be brought up, but there were only 30 people there at the time because most of them had voted prior to. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor. I'm done.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just had a question, an added question, and from Mr. Mortesini, who's here. Mr. Mortesini, I know that you care about every single one of the employees.
Yes, I do.
And so my question is this. It seems like there is a desire to talk not to say that it's going to, change anything. It could or it couldn't. But I'm prepared to come back at a special meeting of the City Council next week, say next Wednesday, to revisit this. That wouldn't impact, the timelines at all. It would give you a chance to, have a talk with all the employees. It really could, I think, maybe even settle the thing for once and for all. My concern is that people feel unhappy that they perhaps didn't get, heard. And you know what it is? It's due process.
Yeah,
That's all it is at this point. If you could just give them the chance to be heard, perhaps the vote will be the same.
well, respectively, I have to respectively decline Councilman Sanchez, and here's the reason. The reason that there weren't that many people that stayed for whatever presentation that we were going to make at the ratification is because by the request of the OCA members over the last 2 or 3 contract cycles over the last 13 years, we've broken away from our model. We publicize the full tentative agreement with all the terms and conditions. We're only talking about medical here right now, but there's other terms and conditions in the tentative agreement that we had to reach. And we publicized that 1 week in advance, and everybody had that tentative agreement in writing. They had the rates for the Kaiser only medical. They were notified of the membership meeting to ratify. Employees asked to start the voting at 4 o'clock. They came in with the information that they'd been provided for. They signed in. They received a ballot, just like you go to the ballot box. They marked their ballot. We gave them due process. They put it in. It was a secret ballot. They put it in the ballot box.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Was there any point that they were given one proposal and then a second one that changed? Was there at any point, was it that's what I understand happened, that possibly.
Let me answer that question. During our discussions, and remember, we had 4 meetings between July, we broke the impasse on July 8th. On July 9th, we notified the membership the direction we were going in. We had 3 subsequent meetings after that, between July 9th and leading up to the ratification vote in late August. And there was lots of discussion on which way to go. But I believe it was August 20th, we had a majority. We had the largest membership meeting up until that point, and I think there was 86 employees there. And to a person in that room, except for 8, they said because of the issues with United Healthcare and your current broker, they decided, I think it was 76 to 8, to move in the direction that we did. That's when we finalized the proposal. We publicized it to all members. We did the internal mailing. We did it on the website. We got that information 1 week.
So you're saying that the only one that was sent out, the only
official
information,
formal was the one proposal that they voted on.
They never received, there was no possibility at all that your 300 members got the first proposal and then a second proposal. So there's no possibility, if they only read the first one and didn't bother to read the second one, thinking that it was probably the same thing.
Esther, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
To be respectfully, there was discussion about different alternatives, but
You're telling me it didn't go out at all.
They didn't go out. That there was discussion in the meetings. There was only one proposal, one tentative agreement that went out, and that was the tentative agreement that went out 1 week before the ratification. And when at the end of the day, on the ratification day, 115 members came in and voted, and 46 voted against it. And we believe they voted based on the impacts on their paycheck. And I've been doing this for 25 years. It's not unusual that 100 employees out of 300 won't show up. That tells you that they're not in dispute. You know, we had people that came in, the majority of our members came in and voted, and unfortunately we've got 46 people that are not happy with the outcome, but that's not the way the democratic process works, not only in your situation or in the union. We're a democratic union. We gave them the information. They voted with a secret ballot, and there's no advice from the Teamsters to make this change. We can have meetings, we can talk about...
Thank you. That was the question I had, is whether or not there were two
There's going to be no
proposals.
change. There's only one proposal, and there'll be no change of the outcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. Sounds like city council elections. You know, half the people really don't care, and probably 90% of the people don't show up for city council elections. They vote by who has the best hair, or in the choice that we're talking about here may affect the entire city, because if they're pulling out, we may not have the same choice for our medical under those negotiations. So, I mean, this is all affecting us, but you as the Teamsters have gone through a process. My heart goes out to anybody that has to change. I know that that's the possibility for me in just getting in United Healthcare from where I am, for losing my doctor or who I can see. So this is, you know, I feel like this has been vetted. I hope that the Teamsters will, and the leadership will hold the meeting, and with the 46 signatures or whatever it was you received, and even more if they are willing to show up on the 10th, as you said. You know, if this goes forward, you would still meet with them to have the discussion. So, so I'm going to just move approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Curran, please.
Thank you. The reason I second that, and the reason I'm going to vote for this, you're asking for a delay for a week. I don't see a change in outcome. Mr. Mortensen basically commented there'd be no revote. So all we're doing is delaying this, and the longer we delay this, we come up against the open enrollment time. So it would be a disservice to everybody out there if they scramble and do this. I understand, we've had meetings, we talked, and I understand that there is some angst about all of this, and you have some problems internally that you need to address. I think, Don, you're going to have to deal with those people to do that, plus get a different hat. So the idea is, you know, I truly sympathize with the people that don't like this. But we as a city try and get on top of the healthcare issue, and you know, I think the Affordable Health Care Act's a misnomer. I think it's the Unaffordable Health Care Act. The idea that what's driving all of this is everybody's very afraid of what's going to happen in the next couple of years. I think within 2 years we'll see some settling of how the health care issue is going to be handled. And maybe in that, when you come back for renegotiation in 2 years, we can figure out a different, better plan and go on from there. But for us, and the reason that we did this is that the out years for us scare us too, is up here on the council about how we're going to have some certainty in our budget on the out years. So that's why one of the things that we said we need to have health care for the citizens of Oceanside to pay. So that's why I support this. I think, Don, I hope you go forward with the meeting, but it sounded like there was not going to be any other revote anyway, so all we're doing is delaying the inevitable and just dragging things out. So you know, it is an awkward position for us because it seems like we're trying to referee an internal dispute between your own union. And I don't think that's the position that the council should be taking. So we asked for an agreement, we have a tentative agreement that everybody has acted in good faith, so I think it's incumbent upon us to act on it tonight in that respect. So there's a couple legal things about lawful obligation of voting, and I'm going to ask my city attorney, that was brought up, is that
The obligation is for you to consider in open session the tentative agreement that has been drawn up between the parties, but it's not binding because it has to be approved by the city council in open session. So that's why the item is before you today.
Okay, all right, but I think right now, if this was late July or early August, I would grant that time, but as of right now, we're 3 weeks away from open enrollment, so I think that we need to go forward with this. So thank you.
Councilman Sanchez, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think we're leaving an impression that is extremely incorrect here. These negotiations, the mayor and I have actually felt like we were not even part of these negotiations because bottom line is I don't feel like we had the best interest of the employee at heart at any time during these negotiations. That's what I think you felt, where you felt forced to go to a different, a different system. You know, I feel like the negotiations that happened were very unequal. I mean, I wanted to believe that they were equal. I at least felt that the representatives were there, but it was a message sent by the majority here. And bottom line is, I know that you employees have been taking home less and less. We've been having, we had a difficult time of it, in terms of the city, in terms of the economy, and we're starting to get out of that. And so where we've laid off employees, which means that you're doing the work of two. You haven't gotten a raise. Your health care is going up and up. You're taking home less, and this is not what I would have voted for in the first place. It is not. I am very concerned that we keep putting this off, as if we're just going to get rid of everybody, everyone's just going to somehow leave, and we're going to be able to just contract everything out. That's really what's happening here. The impression that, oh, we've got, some people who really care about you here, the majority here, that is so incorrect here. I just want to put that out, because it sounds like, oh, gee, I really care about you from these three people. That ain't happening. That's not what's happening behind closed doors. What is happening is that you are being forced to take this position, and this is very uncomfortable for me, extremely uncomfortable, that you would have to go out and do this. So I know the mayor is someone who has had the experience of being an employee for the city of Oceanside, knows the ins and outs. He knows where the money is buried and how we put these pockets of money here, 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 and here, so that we can avoid giving employees raises. I mean, that's how it's been going on for the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So the thing about this is that you as employees of Oceanside, as really ambassadors of the city, do above and beyond the call of duty. And that's why we have what we have. We've got employees that care truly for this city, despite the fact that they have not gotten raises, despite the fact that they're treated as they are, despite the fact that we're having a morale problem here. Everything is going well for us, except when it comes to how we treat our employees. So this is why I am, having a real hard problem here, because we forced you into this corner, and we're saying, you've got to take this deal. And I don't like the deal. I wouldn't do this to myself. I wouldn't do it to my family. So this is really tough, Mr. Mayor. I don't know what you're going to say. I'm going to wait to see what you tell us all.
Thank you. Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you. One can sit here and only take so much. I mean, when we're living in a fiscal fantasy land, I seem to recall the vote was 4-1, and the mayor, without mentioning any names, is the only one who can stand up here and say he didn't vote for the contract. So I don't understand how it is we have claims that the contract wasn't supported. Now, do we need to Boy, well, that's certainly...
Even you said, why aren't you two participating? Even you said that. So I have to remind you what your words are.
We took the vote.
Hold on, ladies and gentlemen.
Now.
Mr. Fellaini, it's your turn.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, and this is a frustrating issue, but I hate to sit here and hear this bunk that the majority doesn't care about the employees, because when cities are managed so recklessly that everyone gets laid off and their pensions are destroyed, a la Detroit, how does that care for employees? And Detroit's the first of dozens and dozens of cities that are going to be going down that road. Oceanside was going down that road before we had a majority that came in and instilled some fiscal discipline to avoid catastrophe that's coming down the road. Now, the decisions that drove Detroit into financial ruin weren't made the week before. They weren't made the year before. They, in some cases, were made decades before. So yes, the hard decisions we're making today, you don't see the fruits of it tomorrow or the year after. But if they're not made, you see the disaster come 10 years from now, 15 years, 20 years from now. Well, I have a perfectly clear conscience that the decisions we've made up here as a majority have put the city on a sound financial footing. Now, employee packages consist of, to group it simply, three things: basic wages, health care benefits, and retirement benefits. The total costs are always going up, up, up. The issue is how it's distributed. So everyone's cost is going up, it's just that most of that is going into retirement expenses and healthcare expenses, so we have to shuffle around the total. But the total is never going down. So the issue is, yeah, we can give away the store and promise all kinds of stuff today, but 2 years or 3 years from now, when we have massive increases from CalPERS, how is all that going to be paid for? It's going to be paid for with massive layoffs, just like Detroit and so many other cities. Apparently, some of my colleagues are happy to go down that reckless, irresponsible road simply to make some people happy today. Well, I take a broader approach to my responsibility of public office, and I'm here to keep the city viable for decades, not to get through the next election or to make a handful of people happy because they don't want to face the financial reality of the long-term fate of our city. And we'll see, and I'll be happy to have my approach ratified in the next election, which is coming up, and we'll see where we go. But keeping our city solvent and keeping our employees with a job is caring for our employees, and that's the best way we can care for all of our employees. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Real quick, a tough decision from myself. A few minutes, I understand we all talk more than you do, and I apologize, but that's what we get put up here by. On this particular issue, when it first came up, I truly believe that the city did the same thing, kind of forced you into a corner. I was kind of smiling when you came back and said you were going to the Teamsters and pulling out the city plan because it's your way to say you won't deal with it, so we're going to go with somebody else. That's how I felt. And, you know, I smiled a little and said, you know, it's payback. We don't help you. We don't deal with you over the last few years, so you did something back to us. Did it impact us? Yeah. If you go to them, our rates go up and everybody else's maybe and all the other benefits. What my concern was recently when it came up, meet and confer is just that. Somebody from the city manager's office, city manager, an attorney, your side, get together and talk about this. We're not really privy to all the details. We're not. Somebody comes back and tells us where we're at and how we're going. And this latest group of actions, I got to admit, you came back and said that you're going to the Teamsters, and I thought you had two choices, and you were going to go forward. When I got more information about it, I was a little concerned because I was concerned about people of my age, 65, and what would happen with the Teamsters contract. That was my big concern. I thought it was a little bit misleading, and I didn't think everybody understood it, and even I didn't. So I thought, you know, I'm not going to support this, and I was the one that voted no on the contract. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood what was going on in the contract and what would be used and who may or may not be in it in the future if you go to it. With that in mind, I voted no. When it came back, there was confusion with the Teamsters in the sense that it was a yes, no kind of a thing for a while. and came back. When it was ratified, because we went to impasse. You got to throw that in there. Our city went to impasse with you and said no. And so you got one more shot at it by talking to the city manager and trying to work it out and resolve it. You did, and when you came back with this decision about going with the one medical group, not two, I still was a little concerned that there was no selection process. Felt like we had pushed you into that situation. I truly believe we did, and no choice there. Go with the impasse we threw at you, or you go out and try to find something better. And I noticed that your rates are better than what the city was offering, and you did say it here tonight. I understand it. What I didn't understand, Chester and everybody else, is some people came to us, the council, and talked to us. Generally, we don't do that because it's a meet and confer type thing, but it was more concerns over, let's say, operational aspects of how a vote went down or whatever. And I honestly told them, gee, you know, we're on the other side, really, and we have a vote to do, and you probably need to work this out with your own group. And that's what I told them. If you want to have a continuation on it or whatever, that's what we heard. They needed more time. And I said, I don't mind having a continuation for a week or so if you want to work this out. However, after saying I don't mind it, and Esther saying we don't mind, it's like, hey, we're willing to sit back for a while and get this resolved. We got a lot of feedback from two people here on each side of me about contracts, meet and confer. They signed a tentative. We got to go along with it. They've signed it. Some legal issues came up, which made me concerned, but I still thought, well, we can continue it for a while. You know, these are our employees. Let's see what everybody's happy about and if it's understood. Now, because of that, I'm put in a dilemma. I like both sides here. The people who don't want it and the people that want it, you know, and this is one of those. I also get a lot of pressure behind the scenes legally that I'm probably required to vote for this. And there's not going to be another vote. With that in mind, if you were sitting up here, it's not fun. It's two sides that you get along with, and they're having a little argument. Whatever comes out of this in the vote tonight, I know it's going to be already. And I don't think my vote would make a difference, but I sit and look at a Teamster standing here and say, I have to vote for this. And that means big things to me, because in the future, when they deal with other labor groups, I want to make sure we understand that it's meet and confer, and then when it comes down to a tentative agreement, we're supposed to say yes. I'm not happy with this, but I understand. I hope it works out for whatever comes out of this. It is going to affect me later on my insurance here at the city, because I might have to go to a program where I don't keep my doctor either, and that's a concern of mine. But with that, I don't think I'm going to resolve it up here tonight, or anybody's going to be happy either way we go. But it's going to come down to a yes or no. I'm going to follow the lead. I was going to say, you want a continuance, you got it. I'm going to back 100%, and I told people about it. When I hear the comments that were made here tonight from the Teamsters and your president, it really puts me in another light where I feel obligated to go along with the agreement. You're not going to like that, but then again, when you have a meeting with the Teamsters, the rest of you, and they have it, you might want to address the things that I don't know about. If there was a violation of the protocol and the Brown Act or the Roberts Rules or whatever, then you need to address that with your membership and your leaders. And if there was a problem there, you need to address it. Again, one of the other big ones, and I even said Mr. Kern brought it up, is that we're having open enrollment pretty soon, and the city HR director is kind of semi-panicked that this needs to go forward and something done, for she doesn't have a hair-pulling contest trying to get things done. Again, one more person talking a long time. I apologize for that. It's going to come down to the vote. Please vote. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Unusual here. Apparently, I have to eat some of my words, so I always try and be as truthful as possible
Yes,
here. But the city attorney says my memory isn't as good as it should be, so I want to correct the record. And he says Esther's version of the vote is correct, and she was in opposition, and I just wanted to put that on the record. I'm not quite ready to agree with that, but if someone tells me I'm wrong, I will go with the outside expertise there, and I wanted that.
Thank you, sir.
record to be
I
correct.
appreciate that for all of you. And Mr. City Attorney, you have anything to add, or you, Mr. City Manager? I know. No. It's a vote. Please go forward.
Motion approved, 4-0. Sanchez abstained.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time and your hospitality. Have a good one. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I appreciate what you did and your time. Want to take a quick break? Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to break for about 10 or 15 minutes to set up something for the next part of this. 10-minute break. Thank you. Don't wander off. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second half of the City Council meeting. I appreciate you being here. We have some presentations and award type things at this time of the evening. You have a phone or a pager, put it on silent, vibrate. We'd appreciate that. In order, after we get through some of those and maybe public, I want to let you know that we're going to bring up an item 27 for Councilmember Feller regarding Sandag. I have to be first up after the awards. And then I'm going to bring up item number 25 as a priority after that. And I appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we would, first part of this, Jessica, take that from there.
At this time, I'd ask that we all please stand for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, leading us in our invocation is our City Clerk, Zach Beck, who is also the Youth Pastor for Gateway Community Church.
Let us pray. Father, we come before you today, grateful, humbled, and blessed by the blessings you provided us here in the city of Oceanside. We ask for your guidance, your wisdom, your discernment, and deliberations that transpire here in this governing body and the governing bodies throughout the entire country. Father, these are challenging times right now, both locally, nationally, and globally, and we ask for your steady hand of guidance through these troubled times. And Father, may all people of all faiths, all belief systems, all backgrounds, all histories, all presents, and all futures be blessed and encouraged by the hope that we have in you in this time. And we pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Zach. At this time, we will have Jennifer Lacey, the new board president of the Oceanside Charitable Foundation, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, one United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Please be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. At this time, we have two presentations. Our first presentation is our Pet of the Month. Tonight, from the San Diego Humane Society's North Campus, we have staff member Elkie Wills, who has brought with her Phoenix.
Yeah, I might put it back in, so we'll see. This is Phoenix. He's about 5 months old. He came to us with 2 other siblings, and yes, he's available for adoption. He's quite the purr. Let's see if I can get him going. Can you hear? He's been talking to me since I picked him up today. Just very social, as you can see, pretty easygoing. We thought he might be able to handle this situation, and he is available for adoption. His adoption fee is actually $100. Any kittens under the age of 7 months are that. But right now, we do have a back-to-school Adopt a Study Buddy promotion going on. So because kittens are easily adoptable, we have our adult cats that are 7 months and older that are just $5 adoption fee through the end of September. So if you're looking for a cat, now is a great time to go. I looked at our numbers today, and we have more, and this is organization-wide, than 600 cats or kittens in our care. So although they're not all available for adoption right now, you know that there's got to be one there that fits your family. So we invite you over to the North Campus here on Airport Road to look for a cat. And we're going to put him away, and then...
With this audience, I don't blame them for getting a little nervous.
Yeah. So The mayor and I were just talking actually about what a difficult time it is when you lose a pet or when you have to make those decisions to euthanize your pet, either for medical issues or for old age. And at the Humane Society, we think it's very important not only to help you at the beginning of the relationship with your pet, but through that whole relationship, whether it be training or our lecture series, the dog park if you have a dog. And so we want to be there to provide resources and tools for you to have the best relationship possible. But we know when that difficult time comes that you also, many people are looking for resources and help to get through that difficult time. So, and just, I don't know if it's been the last year or so, we opened up the opportunity for people to have owner-present euthanasia, which means you can go in with your animal at our Airport Road location. We do provide euthanasia services at Airport Road and at our San Luis Rey location. San Luis Rey is just if you aren't comfortable with going in, you can bring your animal there, but if you want to be with your animal during that time, you go to Airport Road. We offer those services Tuesday through Saturday, and we do ask for it to be by appointment. Obviously, there's those emergency situations that we take into consideration. And then after that, we do also offer pet loss support. So this is something that we offer both in San Diego and here in Oceanside, and it's once a month. And it's actually facilitated by a licensed clinical social worker. The next one is September 26th. It is at no charge to you. So if you're just going through that difficult time and really want to see if other people are feeling the same way, you want to talk through those feelings, even if you're just trying to make the decision at that point, we invite you. So our next session is going to be September 26th, and they're always on the website where you can sign up to come. We invite you. You don't have to make an appointment if you just want to show up. You can do that as well. So we just want, again, to be there for you and offer those services that we think are important to the pet owners and their pets. So thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are great people with big hearts. I go and I've been about 3 times in 1 month to the cat and bunny shelter. A lot of kitties, big ones, small ones, and bunny rabbits. The other one's the dog park, and a lot of volunteers over there. Please go there, walk through, see them, and see what's going on. I think this cat would be a wonderful mascot for Sandag.
Yes.
See, that group over there agrees. If not, how about a mascot for Rancho Buena Vista High School? How's that? You guys can get it on your way out here this young
School ever.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Elke. Our second presentation is an update from the Oceanside Charitable Foundation, and here to give us the update is Jennifer Lacey, our board president.
Hi, again, my name is Jennifer Lacey. I'm an attorney here in Oceanside. I was born and raised here. I lived here my whole entire life. I did move away for a slight time for school. We have approximately 62 active members, which donate a minimum of $1,000 a year. Half goes straight into the endowment and half goes into our grant making directly back into Oceanside. So every grant making dollar goes right back in to benefit directly back into Oceanside. The first 100 members are deemed founding members. This upcoming year is a really, really exciting year. We have someone by the name of Matt McLaughlin who passed away, who left a $10 million legacy gift to the San Diego Foundation, which we're an affiliate of. And he wanted it to benefit the North County. So this upcoming year, every grant dollar that is granted out into our community is going to be matched dollar for dollar. We also have 2 new legacy gifts this year, which bring our legacy gifts to just over $2 million, and our endowment has reached just under $250,000. This is our 5th year of grant making. We just had a grant ceremony at the California Surf Museum. We granted just over $52,000 to arts and culture nonprofit organizations here. And we've been doing grants for the last 5 years, and we've just done just under $250,000. And that $250,000 is gone directly back into Oceanside. This year's also a really exciting year for us because, like I said, we're an affiliate of the San Diego Foundation. There are a number of affiliates throughout the community, and just how we emphasize the importance and strength of uniting together as a community, all of the affiliates are going to do the same focus area, which is the area of community engagement and volunteerism. And so we're all going to focus on that, and we're going to try to get national recognition this year. And so it's a really exciting time to join. If you're wanting to join, you can definitely contact me. You can contact John Duca at the San Diego Foundation.
you can go to our website, oceansidecharitablefoundation.org. We have a board, a grants committee, and a marketing committee. We go through a very detailed discovery process, which then we decide on a focus area. We then send out applications to 501c3s throughout Oceanside community, and then we have what's called the Grant Seekers Forum, and we have that at the Chamber of Commerce. Last time we had 20 or 30 people standing because it was so crowded. Then we let them know exactly what we're looking for in their applications. Then what happens is we receive the grant applications from them. The grants committee then goes out and does site visits to some of the ones that we feel would make the biggest, greatest impact in Oceanside. And it's always interesting to see what's on their application versus when you actually get there and meet them and see their program. But it's extremely important for us to know that those dollars are going to where they're saying they are in the application. We then submit for approval or for an option out to our members, and our members directly vote on where and who receives that grants that are going out into the Oceanside community. And so we're really excited this year for the dollars to be matched. The goal this year is to increase our membership, increase our legacy gifts, and increase the impact in the Oceanside community. And so does anyone have any questions?
Jim, what is going to be your area of concern this year?
This year, our area of concern is community engagement and focusing on volunteerism throughout the community.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney?
Thank you. The City Council met in closed session to discuss the following items. Item 1, conference with labor negotiator involving the Oceanside City Employees Association. There was discussion, no reportable action. Item 2A, conference with real property negotiator involving the approximate 21 acres at Powell Road near Los Abuelitos Boulevard. Under negotiations, our price and terms for the sale of the property. The negotiating parties are City of Oceanside and Concordia Communities, LLC, Hallmark Communities, Inc., and Hillcrest Homes. There's no reportable action on that matter at this time. Item 2B, conference with real property and negotiator involving a portion of the San Luis Rey Water Reclamation Facility at 3850, 3950 North River Road. The negotiating parties are the City of Oceanside and Cogentrix and W Power LLC. Under negotiations are price and terms for the lease of the property. Again, there's no reportable action at this time. Item 3A, public employee appointment involving the city manager. That matter was discussed, but no action was taken, I should say. Item 4, litigation, conference with legal counsel on existing litigation in the workers' compensation case involving Gregory Hawk versus City of Oceanside. Again, that matter was discussed, direction provided, but there's no reportable action at this time.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Mr. Clerk, if you would, item number 25, please. I meant 27, I'm sorry, then 25. Thank you.
Item number 27 is request by Councilmember Feller for a presentation by Caltrans and the Sandag team on the I-5 North NC PWP and LCP amendment process and direction of staff if necessary.
I'd like to thank everybody from Caltrans staff and everybody else in the back rows for being here. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Mayor Wood, council members. Thank you very much for having me on. Alan Kossip with Caltrans. I'm the I-5 Corridor Director. As you're no doubt aware, the region, Sandag and Caltrans have been working very hard over the last few years to develop a comprehensive package of transportation improvements in the Northwest Corridor.
Can I have you pull the mic up just a little bit, because there you go.
This is a $6.3 billion set of package of improvements that will get constructed between now and 2040. And they include such things as completing the double track of the low sand line, lagoon restoration at Bataquita, or at San Alejo and Buena Vista, and then the express lanes similar to I-15 and carpool lanes. One of the key parts of developing this package of improvements is working the project and looking at it, how is this set of projects consistent with the California Coastal Act? And so one of the things we wanted to talk about today is an informational item, specifically to talk about the city's LCP and the relationship between the public works plan that we're using for I-5 and the rail improvements and your LCP, and the process that we'll use to identify and remedy any inconsistencies between what we're proposing and the city's LCPs. Just as a way of a little background on the coastal portion of the project, it shouldn't be a surprise that it's a very unique approach to projects of this nature. $6.3 billion of improvements all in the coastal zone. And so it's been a very collaborative process working with Coastal Commission and their staff about how are we going to develop a framework to figure out, is this project and is this program of improvements consistent with the California Coastal Act? And the idea was to do this holistically and not to do this piecemeal, so that as these projects come through, we really want to minimize surprises to everyone. And so the idea of looking at it as a package also allowed us to look for opportunities to integrate modes, do the bike improvements while we're doing the rail improvements, while we're doing the highway improvements. How can we improve the lagoons concurrently when we're working on the highway? So this holistic approach that we packaged under the Public Works Plan allowed us to do that. So the idea here is to provide assurances that the 40-year set of projects get built consistent with the Coastal Act, consistent with everyone's expectations, but also to build in some flexibility, because we know the world's going to change over the next 30 or 40 years in ways that we can't really forecast. So how do we provide both? And the Public Works Plan provides that framework. So the question is, how does the Public Works Plan relate to the city's local coastal program? And the idea here is with the pyramid, and we're going to look at it as an example and start with the rail improvement portion of it, because both the rail projects and the highway projects go through the coastal process. The rail projects are subject to federal coastal law, and the highway projects are subject to state and federal coastal law. And so they're a little bit different. How they relate to your LCP is a little bit different. As it relates to the rail projects, we look to the LCP for guidance, and ultimately we need to be consistent with the State Coastal Act. When we look at the highway, the local LCP and the PWP need to be in direct alignment. So if there's any inconsistencies between our Public Works Plan and your LCP, we need to resolve those inconsistencies before we take it, or as a part of taking the whole package to the California Coastal Commission. And on the side of the pyramid, we sort of relate it to the city's general planning process, where you have projects coming up. They need to be consistent with the specific plan. The specific plan is consistent with the general plan, and so forth. And this PWP is very similar to that. As projects are designed in year 10, for instance, and we bring that forward for consistency finding, we'll bring that forward and we look to the PWP to assure that it is correct. So what we've been doing over the last few years is working very hard with your city, with each city's staff, to figure out where are those inconsistencies and how could we remedy those inconsistencies. And an example of that would be when cities developed their LCPs, they probably didn't envision the need of going right through a lagoon where we have endangered species and we have ESHA that's sitting right next to the state improvement. And so that's obviously an inconsistency. That's an inconsistency that we need to address in the LCP. And so that's an example of what we'll need to work through over the next few months. And again, I want to point out that it's been very collaborative. We've had the Coastal Commission staff with us the whole time. We've had your staff with us, so that we're not guessing where the inconsistencies are and how to remedy them in a way that you can live with. One of the things we heard early on from the cities is the coastal LCPs in each city is pretty broad. It has a big span. They don't want to open up the entire LCP for us to just amend it just in our little project footprint. And so one of the solutions that has been developed with the city staff and Coastal Commission is this idea of an overlay. And you can see here the yellow is where the project, the I-5 improvements, actually interface with your LCP. Those are the areas that we'll look at for inconsistencies and figure out a way to address. As it relates to the rail line, since those are under federal guidance, we actually don't need to address LCP inconsistencies there. We'll still work with you, but they don't actually need to be formalized. So how are we going to do this? As I said, we've been working on it with staff. The good news is that because there are projects like this impact a lot of different cities, the law was written to give us flexibility as the project sponsor to bring forward LCP amendments directly to the California Coastal Commission, so that we don't have to work through you, asking you to take the legwork and be the sponsor of the amendment. We'll be the sponsor of the amendment. So the challenge here is doing it collaboratively so that the amendment matches what you need it to say. But we do refer to this as the third-party initiated amendment process. And so wanted to just make you aware that that's what was going on. It's also important to point out that this is not the end of a conversation. The PWP, adopting the PWP next year, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about status right now. Public Works Plan went out for public review in the spring of this year, went out in late March. We had a 60-day public review period, so we're working on addressing what the public's comments were. We plan on taking the Public Works Plan spring of next year to Coastal Commission for their adoption, but that adoption isn't the end of a conversation. These projects continue for the next 30 and 40 years, and so the PWP has a number of checks and balances to make sure that we're still talking and that you're aware of what we're building within the framework of the PWP. For example, as we finish design on a particular project, we bring it forward for your review through the NOID process. So tonight's item was just an informational item so that you knew that this process was going on. We've been working, as I said, for a couple years on the actual amendments and the tweaks. We're getting close to the beginning of the formal process, and that's why we thought it was important to be here tonight. We're going to submit the LCPs that we've been working on to Coastal. They will then send them back to you for your review and comment, and we anticipate that that 90-day review period will be happening in the fall of this year. And all of that will be leading up to, hopefully, the Coastal Commission hearing on the PWP for the whole $6.3 billion of improvements in March. So with that, questions?
No.
Oh, no. We'll get the public in a second, okay. For right now, some of us will get back to the public if we may. Okay, Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Did you want to hear from the public first, or?
Well, if you want to have a seat over sidebar, we'll take the public first or back there. Thank you. Would you please?
Yes, we have one member of the public wishing to speak on this item. First, we have Peter Yeomans.
Evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. My name is Peter Yeomans. I've been a resident of Oceanside since '74. Currently reside at 2021 South Ditmar, which is about 100 yards away from the Buena Vista Lagoon. I represent a fledgling neighborhood association called the Neighborhood Buena Vista Lagoon Association. And I'm here because the thousands of people who live within several hundred yards of the Buena Vista Lagoon, both on the south side in Carlsbad, on the north side in Oceanside, have a really serious problem. And we don't think that that's being addressed, and we don't think that's a big enough concern. We deal with mosquitoes every single morning, and these are during the warmer summer months. And we deal with mosquitoes every single evening. You cannot have a pleasant evening in your backyard. You cannot barbecue during the twilight hours. Okay? It's a very serious problem. And we didn't hear that addressed when we had the community meeting in Carlsbad several months ago about the PWP. And I noted from the report that you were just given that part of this process involves dealing with the Buena Vista Lagoon problems and mitigation of problems, and reference was made to I believe, possible removal of that little dam called the Weir by St. Malo. Well, that weir is causing serious problems for all of us in this area. We took a couple of days to obtain a petition because we finally got through to Fish and Game, and that was suggested to us. And we laid that petition on Councilman Feller. Fortunately, he came over near the lagoon to receive the petition. Well, the petition was nearly ruined because during the entire time that Mr. Feller was talking to me, he was swatting mosquitoes. So what I'm trying to do is put a face on this problem. Okay, imagine a 200-pound old mosquito on your screen door that greets you every morning and who's just waiting to get at you, and looks like me, if you like, if that'll help, stay in your memory. And every night, if you decide to barbecue during the summer months, you're going to have to sprint out to the barbecue to put your meal on. You're going to have to sprint back into the house. Basically, you have to wait until after the sun goes down to enjoy your backyard. So I ask you, as you consider all of these actions which you'll be taking here in the days to come, the urgency of the problem that we have with mosquitoes. As residents, we're always told, we'll call Vector. Vector is the organization that flies the helicopters around and drops the pellets. Now, Vector might be having an impact. Maybe we'd really be in bad shape with mosquitoes if they didn't drop the pellets, but we're in horrible shape anyway. So I hope you'll keep that in your mind. We cannot enjoy our property because of the seriousness of the mosquito problem. Thank you.
Before you walk away, sir, hold on. I'm sure we won't answer the question for you today. Sandag's here, City of Oceanside. A few years back, we had to get the money from Carlsbad and Oceanside to have the helicopter drop the appropriate items, but we have to get the approval of state, Fish and Game, et cetera. But we paid for that once from the City of Oceanside and Carlsbad. We did it ourselves because just what you're doing, constant complaints about mosquitoes. I'll let the city manager make a note of it. We might have to talk to Carlsbad again and see if we can work together on that. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
No further public on this item.
Okay, thank you. Back to City Council. Councilmember Sanchez. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to thank Sandag for stepping up to the plate and including the Buena Vista Lagoon as part of the Public Works Plan. If you recall, Mr. Mayor, was it a couple years ago now? A couple years ago, we were working, I should say, Fish and Game, which is now California Fish and Wildlife, who is the 90% owner of the lagoon, was working towards a restoration project and had pretty much put some funding into it, including funds from the Regional Water Quality and Control Board. And at some point it stopped, and it was because it couldn't go forward because there was not a sense that there was support for the direction it was going in. And so we, Oceanside, Carlsbad council members, got together and talked about, we got to keep going forward, we got to keep going forward. This is a very important, critical resource, and in fact, a tourist draw for Oceanside, along with, the health of this lagoon is incredibly critical for homeowners that live nearby, as I said, the tourists, for the wildlife that's in there. And so we ended up going up to Sacramento and getting some help there, but not enough. And so Sandag agreed to take the lead on the environmental impact report. So I want to thank Sandag for doing that and working very closely with the Coastal Commission staff. I know that there's something in the neighborhood of $100 million mitigation funds. This truly is, this is one of the impacts. I do hope that as we go forward on the EIR, that those mitigation funds do stay in North County, particularly for the Buena Vista Lagoon. I know Caltrans is able to put the mitigation in other places in the county and even outside the county. This lagoon would, however, garner a lot of credits for Caltrans. So in that sense, it's something that, hopefully it will happen. But I do want to state that we have spent some money on behalf of the City of Oceanside in terms of the Water Quality Control Board. We are under basically the guidelines for keeping the quality. So it's not just the owner, which is 90% owner, which is the wildlife. California Wildlife. It's also cities of Oceanside, City of Vista, and City of Carlsbad. Now, what we need to do is work together with the owners that are in the mouth of the river, mouth of the lagoon, which is at St. Malo, in coming up with something that will satisfy most of us. I think that the health of the lagoon is something that's important to all of us. Certainly mosquitoes. If it was, if there was not the standing water, if it was more of a flow, then you wouldn't have that problem as much. Vector control, actually, the County Department of Vector Control does have somewhat of a tax, right, every year. So they do have the funds to be able to respond, and they should be responding. The mayor referred to Oceanside, cities of Oceanside and Carlsbad before this tax. Got money together into a pot to start the initial spraying, and now Vector Control has, I forget how much money. It's very well funded project. So perhaps the city manager can contact Vector Control and work with you on that. But as to this, the other thing that Sandag is doing is including, and you mentioned it, the notion of including public transportation. So it's all one, and that I think was something that was missing before, and now is a total, a total look. So the coastal rail, the mitigation for the lagoon, which I hope those dollars will stay in here in Oceanside in North County, Vista. The Public Works Plan does include, I believe, Carlsbad Boulevard because it tends to flood. Is that right?
I'm not sure about that. Carlsbad and Peck Highway?
Carlsbad Boulevard, which is it is between Oceanside and Carlsbad at the lagoon, that one road.
Right.
I believe that's part of the Public Works Plan. Yeah. So that would be very much welcomed to be part of, if that would be part of the mitigation, as well as I-578. That is something that we have for years wanted to address in terms of fixing. I don't think there's any other interchange that has a light like that. But thank you very much for the presentation, and I certainly will be following this and ensuring that we get the Buena Vista Lagoon project in as good a place as possible for funding. Thank you.
Thank you. For myself, I'll let Mr. Filler, Councilman Feller, finish up because it's his item. For me, it was, for the public listening here, it was the widening of I-5, number 1, coming up from Solana Beach, which we all know we want. All you have to do is get on the freeway on the weekend, find that there's problems. A lot of that money was taken away from North County and from us because we weren't shovel ready, and mainly with the Buena Vista Lagoon and the environmental impact report that was necessary. So we understand it. The public is always asking us, what's the problem? It's coming this way. We have to be ready in order to do shovel ready. I-5 widening will help us, but we also have a flyover of 78 because it is backed up for miles at that traffic light. We know it, you know it. The one I always get a kick out of and try to find out is a lot of people, and some of the litigation is more mass transit. However, the biggest part of mass transit, it won't work unless we double track have to have them. Most people don't know that the rail lines are usually busy at night by the freight lines, bringing all the goods in. So we have a problem there, so we need to double track, but how about the approach with the trussels and replacing them? I know that's a big impact for the environmentalists and the environmental impact reports, but they're 1904, 1912, really old. And this upgrade of this whole area, how about the trussels? We address that issue?
Yes, we are. Trestles in the south part of the corridor at Penasquitas Creek, Penasquitas Lagoon. Is those the trestles you're referring to, or?
Yeah, well, anywhere from Oceanside south, I'm really
all
saying
of them. Yes.
And that's what that was a big hang-up for a long time, that we wanted mass transit, but we couldn't do it unless we fixed the trestles or double tracked it. So I know that's important to a lot of the environmentalists, but sometimes they help slow things down because of the permits. I hope that's moving forward, and I think that's a big one. The wetlands has certainly been a big issue for us down here, and I thank everybody in the staff. Would you do me a favor, though? Would you have everybody in your staff stand up, and could you identify them, or they identify themselves, please?
And I was remiss to tell you that they're all here to answer any questions, and I think it's a good example of the collaboration effort that's put this unique package together. We have Gabriel Burr with the California Coastal Commission.
Oh, thank you. I'll stand up and get you on TV.
April Winicki is one of our chief consultants leading us in this endeavor.
Thank you.
Arturo Jacobo is my project manager on the I-5 improvements. Rob Rundle is with Sandag on the regional planning side, and he could, if you wish, he could provide a few words on the status of the Buena Vista environmental document.
Well, when we finish, we'll let him come up there. You're up.
Well, thank you for having us come here today to give you an update on where we are. But as far as the Buena Vista Lagoon environmental impact report goes, we completed the notice of preparation phase, which is the very initial process where we ask the public to give us input on the scope and the content of the environmental document. So we are getting those comments that we received, which we received quite a few from agencies and the public. We're getting those all organized and feeding that into the process of preparing the environmental impact report. So that's what we're doing now. We're doing the engineering phases so that we can do the hydrological modeling that's required to prepare the environmental impact report. So as you know, we're looking at both saltwater and freshwater alternatives. We're going to look at those alternatives at an equal level of analysis so they both get the same attention as far as what benefits or impacts they might have. And then we anticipate having a draft environmental document available for public review around September, October of next year, so about a year from now.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Hey, boss, you want to stand up with the mic up here and say hi to him? He didn't introduce you. What can I tell you?
I'll introduce Bill. This is the principal engineer with Sandag.
Yeah, well, come up to the mic a second. Good evening.
Thank you, and good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm the corridor director for the Losan portion of the I-5 work, and so as you know, we are making a lot of progress. I think you realize that we're making a lot of progress on the double tracking in the corridor. And recently, I spoke to the North San Diego County Regional Development Corporation, and Deputy Mayor Kern and Councilman Feline also participated in that meeting, and we were really happy to get the support of Oceanside in that group in our endeavors. But we have underway the replacement of the Santa Margarita Bridge project, which will be complete out in Camp Pendleton later this year, probably in the spring of next year. It'll be totally complete. The deck has been poured on that bridge, so there's a double tracking bridge there that's been ready to be completed. We've replaced the bridge out at Trestles Beach earlier this year. That was completed in about February. We've recently completed the Santa Fe pedestrian crossing in Encinitas, and there's 3 others that are on the program there to be completed once those are funded. We've just bid out in Camp Pendleton the Santa Onofre to Pulgas double track project, a $24 million project. Bids about $18 million, getting good bids on that. Construction for that project will be underway this year. We have our Sorrento Valley double track project that's also out to bid right now. It's another about a $20 million project. We'll be doing some double tracking down just north of and through the Sorrento Valley station. And as Alan alluded to, there is a project to replace the aging bridges in Las Penasitas Lagoon, and so that will be out to bid next year. We just recently received notice that we've been awarded about $14 million of FRA funds in a grant application there, so that's going to be able to be used on the Las Penasitas bridges, which will allow the money that was previously programmed there to be spread to other projects. And as we discussed at the meeting a couple of weeks ago, there's a major project that's going to be going forward here in the city of Oceanside at the Oceanside Transit Center. That will probably be out to bid next year. It's about a $20 million project, and it's going to provide a third platform at the Oceanside Transit Center. So we'll be able to berth 3 trains, and the trains will be able to pass through while 2 trains are sitting in the station. So this is really going to help facilitate operations at the Oceanside Transit Center, which is a major transit center here in our region. So, and as Alan pointed out, the work that's going on in in the corridor, the public from Sereno Valley up to Oceanside, $6.5 billion, $2.3 billion of that is the low sand corridor, and about $4 billion of that is the highway work, and the $200 million or so of environmental work. So there's a tremendous amount of work going to be going on in this corridor in the next 40 years, and we're really happy to be part of it and to be able to help deliver these projects. So.
Thank you. I also want the people in the audience here at home, we're the second busiest train corridor in the United States, next to New York, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
People don't know that. That's really a busy corridor, and it's improving. Thank you for your time to everybody, sir. But Mr. Feller, Councilman Feller, it's his item, so it goes to him. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I think the only ones that'll be here in 40 years are maybe April and and I'm assuming George and Scott have seen these people before.
He's working on their cloud zone.
And I'm also interested in grade separation here in the downtown area as you bring the trains through. So that's probably another $20 million job. What I wanted Alan to just speak briefly on, and you're asking for support just to continue to allow staff to do what they've been doing for 2 years and support the amendment process and making it as simple as possible for approval as quickly as possible. I'm glad to hear that Rob is here to speak to the lagoon, and Mr. Yeomans is right about the mosquitoes, but Rob has all your information now, though he was the one that should have received all of the documents that I gave you a week ago. But what I do want you to respond to is the taking of the houses. I was very interested in that when you did this presentation, and I think the whole council would like to know exactly what you told me. So.
Okay. And a couple comments tonight was an informational item. Our idea is to get out with all the coastal cities, flush out any issues so that when you have your formal review of the amendment, we've hit as many and resolved as many of those issues before you get the final, and to make it as smooth through the California coastal process as possible. So the collaborative piece, we don't need an action tonight. We just like to know that we're on the right track and, and continuing to work with your staff, so I agree. As it relates to the right-of-way, I know when we put out the environmental document in 2010 for the I-5 widening, a lot of negative feedback, obviously, about the impacts to homes and questions to the department about could we do better. And I think between 2010 and where we are today, hopefully we're here to say we've done better. We've done a lot better. First of all, we picked the smallest project, the smallest alternative, which was the 8+4. That has the smallest footprint, so a lot of right-of-way impacts went away with that. Then we asked our designers, and Arturo asked his team to sharpen their pencils and see how we could do even better than that. And we're about 50% less than the relocations that we were identifying in 2010. And so I think, you know, it's a lot of improvements. It's a very tight corridor. We're going to continue to work to see if we can do even better. But with the way it sits right now, is there are about 5 single-family homes and about 2 apartment complexes that we would give the option to relocate. They're not mandatory relocations in that the buildings will still be there, but the impacts to the right-of-way are such that the folks might want to relocate, and so we'll work with them through the acquisition process to work that out. And some of those acquisitions are a ways away because some of those improvements that require that impact are towards the later end of the program.
About 30 years from now.
Many of them will be that far.
Probably Jim and I will be the only ones here. We'll be 95, but
Yeah.
anyway, I want to thank you all for coming up, Rob and Alan, and all the staff that did show that. We're glad to hear from you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Be safe and watch the traffic going southbound. Thank you very much. With that, Mr. Clerk, will you get item 25, please?
Item number 25 is adoption of a resolution approving regular coastal permit RRP 13-0002 for the replacement and reconstruction of 3 existing public beach restrooms located at Breakwater, Sportfisher, and Tyson Streets, and the remodeling of the public restroom located at Wisconsin Street Beach Restroom Project Phase 1, applicant City of Oceanside.
Thank you very much. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll open this public hearing and ask disclosure from council members, please.
I believe we've been talking about this for quite a while, and it's just staff at this point.
Staff and public.
Same, staff, public.
Staff?
Staff and, staff and public.
With that, Mr. Clerk, correspondence petitions.
None.
Thank you very much. And again, John, yours.
Thank you, Chairman Wood, members of the Community Development Commission, Mr. Weiss, Mr. Mullen. I'm John Helmer. I'm the city's downtown area manager. I have a brief presentation before you conduct the public hearing. Also with me today is Nathan Mertz, capital project manager from the engineering department for the beach restroom project phase 1. Improvements of the beach restroom has been a goal of the city for many years. In 2007, Wallace, Roberts, and Todd, a consulting firm, held a workshop at the City Council to talk about a very large and ambitious vision for the waterfront, number of improvements for the waterfront. 3 years later, the city hired RRM design consultants from San Clemente to focus on what was called the first phase of the beach restroom improvement project. They held a number of public workshops, 3 public workshops between late 2010, early 2011, discussed things such as function, architecture, color, style, and objectives. I think the objectives that were discussed at those public workshops are reflected up here. New restrooms, a higher fixture count, integrated new beach showers, and an open floor plan for increased security. And in taking the public input and the advice of the design consultants, we've come up with the project we have here today. These projects are all located in the coastal zone. They require a coastal development permit. This is an overall view. Breakwater is on the far left. Wisconsin Street is on the far right. You'll see a dot on the pier. There is a restroom remodeling project on the pier, however, that is outside the city's coastal jurisdiction. That is in the jurisdiction of the Coastal Commission, and the commissioners have been given a memo describing that jurisdictional issue. That restroom is specifically not a part of this hearing and not a part of the coastal development permit you consider today. So the objectives are to demolish and replace the 3 restrooms at Breakwater, Sportfisher, and Tyson Street, and renovate the restroom at Wisconsin Avenue. The renovation at Wisconsin Avenue will only be internal, new paint, fixtures, tile. There'll actually be a net gain of 2 fixtures at that restroom, and there'll be a common freestanding wash area on the outside of that building. I'm just briefly going to go over this. This is the northern reach from Breakwater to Civic Center Drive. You can see the location of the 2 restrooms at Breakwater and Sportfisher. Here's the southern reach. Here's the Tyson Street and the Wisconsin Street restrooms. This is a typical floor plan of the new restrooms. As you can see, there's a central area where the facilities will be. This restroom has 14 rooms with toilets in them and 2 accessible rooms. You can see on the outside of each row of toilet rooms there will be freestanding common wash areas. This is just a typical floor plan. They'll all be very similar. This is a typical elevation looking from the Strand. You can see it has a wing-style roof. The materials are concrete block, cast-in-place concrete, and the color tones are blues, grays, and there's some earth tones in there as well. And then you can see on the outside the corridors with the wash areas on the outside there. This is a typical view from the beach area. We've added new shower facilities. Those are the white lines you see on the block area there, and we've also added new surfboard storage areas. This is just a typical elevation from the north. You can see the surfboard areas used to be on the beach side. This is a typical south elevation. And I think this shows you a perspective drawing. This is obviously a computerized drawing. It shows you what this will look like. I think you can appreciate the open corridor look. For security purposes, the police will be able to look down the corridors. The doors will actually be open about a foot on the bottom, so they can be looked in overnight. That will be that's a metal building there. Excuse me, a metal roof. Staff has analyzed this project, worked closely with the Coastal Commission staff. It's in all these restrooms located in the downtown D district. Staff has determined that the project is consistent with all aspects of the zoning ordinance. It's consistent with the local coastal plan. It enhances a number of policies in the LCP, including improving public access and enhances the public's enjoyment of the beach. There's going to be actually a net gain of 28 new toilet fixtures on the beach. We think that's a great improvement. Staff has also determined this project is categorically exempt from CEQA because it's replacement of existing facilities. On July 27th, the Downtown Advisory Committee reviewed and considered this project and unanimously recommended that the CDC approve the coastal development permit for this project. And the staff recommendation is that the Commission adopt the resolution approving the coastal development permit and approving the categorical exemption. So both Nathan and I are here to answer any further questions that the Commission may have.
Thank you. Let's take a seat at sidebar. Mr. City Manager.
Honorable Chairman and members of the Commission, just one brief change, and you got an addendum to your packet. We did get information from the Coastal Commission that has been added to your packet with the 2 additional conditions, and I just wanted to make sure that if you're looking to approve that we include those 2 conditions as well.
Thank you very much. With that, Mr. Clerk.
This is a public hearing item. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward at this time. There are members who have submitted blue forms, and you will have to come forward at your time you'd like to.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. In staff's presentation, there was 2 items I did not see. Number 1, there is no mention of porta potties during construction. I would like to make sure that was included so the public will have access. The second thing is I did not see a park bench that would be available for parents to use to control children when showering or to place objects, because this is one thing that parents have let me know that they need when they have the showering for their children to take. When you have 1 or 2 children, they need places to put their clothes or towels or things, or put the other child while they're taking care of one, they got the other one. Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward at this time. If Mr. Steve Mescue, Joan Brubaker, Steve Marley, or John Graham, you can come forward at any time to speak.
I'm from North Coast Village, right next door, and we participated in the 2010 reviews, and because it is a close neighborhood there, we wanted to make sure we had it right, and we just want to make sure that as these designs and the schedules to work progress, that we're allowed to participate in some of the decision-making in future forums as they finalize some of the designs. Examples like when are they going to actually start the work? What month are they going to, I know they're going to start the project, but when are they going to start our building? What hours are they going to work? Will they be jackhammering at 7:30 in the morning and things like that? Also, the drainage there at that corner of Breakwater and Strand has always been a problem. Either the water flushes down from Breakwater and rushes out and discolors the sand and causes erosion, or during the drier spells, little irrigation leaks or whatever water seems to fly there in a puddle. It's almost a continuous puddle there that lies because there is no drainage, and the drainage at that corner has never been planned out. Some of the water comes from the hosing down of the restrooms. When they're washing them down, the water gets into there and it just sort of lies and looks ugly. It just seems like somehow we could make changes of that while we're doing this large project. The drawing showed that there was no landscaping involved. I'm not sure if that's true or not. It seems to me that some flowers or something incorporated into these buildings would certainly enhance the appearance of it, and North Coast Village could possibly participate. For example, years ago we arranged with Don Hadley to take over that flower garden that's owned by the city at the end of Breakwater Street. Our landscape guys maintain the trees, the bushes, pull the weeds, and put down weed cloth, and they actually operate the irrigation system, which is in a little trapdoor in the ground in front between the street and the restroom. And we want to make sure that that irrigation pipe, it's city water that we're using to irrigate city land, but we're maintaining it, that agreement stays there because we think it really enhances the appearance of that whole corner. And that didn't seem to be mentioned in the project. Also, that flower bed at the end is ringed with, or retained with creosote logs that have been there for about 40 years. We don't think it's our authority to change them, but as part of the whole project, I don't know if that's part of the plan, is to make some changes to that or clean it up while we have heavy equipment in there at the same time. A few years ago, vending machines were established and put in front of the existing restroom. I don't see on the new restroom design where there's any vending machine facilitation for that. And I don't know if that's, and we'd like to know how they're going to be positioned and all that, if they're going to be done. It doesn't seem to make sense. And finally, I know I got a red light, the wave run-up analysis says that the restrooms will get hit by storms at high tides, and I tell you that those waves do come up there in the high winter surf. It certainly doesn't make sense to me. Dave Skelly said in his wave run-up analysis that you should put sandbags down there during that period. Why don't we design it a little bit differently so that we don't have to sandbag it? That's a labor-intensive job, it looks ugly, and it's just an impractical thing. It seems if we could raise the floor of the whole thing up about a foot and maybe put some low walls down to divert the waves, it would eliminate that need of our crew having to be out there putting sandbags on, taking them off, and all that kind of stuff for all these storms and very rough.
I'm going to have to wind you down. Wait a second, your time's up. But the other thing is, the gentleman there in the white shirt and the rest of them, afterwards, when this is over, get with them, give them your card, whatever, and your suggestions. You have it on a form. I think that's important. That's why we want you to come forward. Thank you very much. Hi, Joan.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I noticed that there were 4 items in this particular thing, and as I recall, when those funds, which I think was around $5 million in money, was removed from the sale of the mobile home park for this restroom restoration. So I wondered, will there be money left over after this complement of work has been done from that amount? If so, I think to use it for the one that was asked to be made a national landmark of some sort, to do that to a restroom is rather ridiculous in my opinion. And if any money is left over, I would hope it wasn't invested in something like that. If we start idolizing a restroom, who knows? I might someday walk into a city park and here, lo and behold, is a replica of a three-holer sitting there on a pedestal as some kind of a landmark. I think that's kind of drawing the line. So my question is about any monies left over after this segment is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Hello, my name's Steve Marley. I live at 99 North Pacific Street in Oceanside, North Coast Village, across the street from the Breakwater Way restroom. Also a board member there. I was involved with the public discussion about this a few years ago. Really pleased with the design work that was done. I just had a couple concerns. One was that we have the sinks outside, and it appears that there's no gate there. And so I just wonder, and I'm concerned, could this be found by people to be a convenient overnight outdoor restroom? Don't know if that's a problem with things like this, but it was just a thought that we all had back when these designs were being done. And another concern is just that from one of the earliest artist concepts I saw of this, it appeared to me that the restroom was moved south 30 or 50 feet, something like that, to make room for a turnaround on the beach for cars and a drop-off point there at the end of Breakwater Way. And that would change the location of the restroom and would be blocking new views of people and unblocking old views, and that would be a concern to a lot of people since everyone's paid based on, for their properties, based on the view they do or don't have. Thank you.
Staff, make notes and answer some of these questions later. When you're finished with this, I'll have staff try to respond. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward at this time.
Mr. Clerk, I see none, so with that, I'll go ahead and close this public hearing and come back to the
One
council.
second, Mayor Wood, I'm so sorry.
Excuse me.
Mr. Graham, I know you submitted a form, but it's a public hearing, so you can come forward to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I'll stop what I just said and go back, open it up. Hi, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Name is John Graham. I am a resident at 999 North Pacific, North Coast Village, and the restroom current and planned are really close to the front of mine, so I'm very concerned. So I had a couple things that I had questions about. One was, I saw the cost of all the restrooms, but I never saw the cost to do each of them. So that was a curiosity of mine, because I'm kind of a numbers person. Another thing was that during the public hearings, that restroom, the most popular one, was one that was split. So there was actually a section that went all the way through the middle if you were going from north to south, so that you could actually, there'd be a view through there or a walkway through. And that was the most popular at all the hearings that I went to, and I just kind of wondered what happened. And my bet is that it was a bigger footprint, but I was curious about that. Thank you.
First off, sir, I'll have staff answer some of those questions. If not, you didn't get the right answer, make sure you stop with the staff as this item's over and talk to them about it, or suggestions. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward at this time.
Mr. Clerk, again, I see none, so I will close the public hearing and come back to council. Staff, you had a couple of questions. You want to answer those or get with these gentlemen later? Either one. Go ahead, sir.
I can answer Jimmy Knott's questions. Porta potties will be brought out for mitigation while the bathrooms will be closed. We're also anticipating construction during the winter months, predominantly during the winter months, so use levels will be a little bit lower then, but we will have accommodations for beach attendants. Benches are included, are integral to the building itself. Cast-in-place concrete benches will be on the west side of the building by the surfboard racks and the showers. Construction's anticipated to start after Labor Day 2014 and run the better part of the year into 2015. Regular work hours will be observed 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Drainage within the restrooms will be integral to the restrooms. There'll be, floor drains in all the stalls, floor drains within the plumbing chase and floor drains at the shower, as well as the sink areas. So there won't be much runoff from that building when cleaning or using the amenities in there. As of this time, there's no landscape included with the project. Vending machines locations, no new landscaping, so pretty much existing landscaping will be there, which is palm trees. Vending machines, we need to evaluate the replacement of the vending machines. Whether or not they're appropriate in these areas is something that the operators and programmers of these bathrooms would be doing. We're just approving the coastal permit tonight. There's actually two phases. I don't want to confuse the the subject here, but the second phase, this is the first phase of an overall larger project that we're approving tonight. The second phase will address the bathhouse restroom, the historic restroom that was referred to, as well as creating additional restroom facilities and maintenance facilities close to the amphitheater area and Betty's lot. This project is estimated to cost around $1.4 million for these 3 restrooms and the 2 remodels, and then the remaining money would go towards that phase 2 portion of the project. Dusk hours, I believe the bathrooms are locked up now by Harbor and Beach Maintenance. All the doors will be locked, but the open format of the restrooms will allow for visual observation from a drive-by scenario when down on the Strand, but all the interior portions of the building will be locked up. There are no relocations of the buildings or no addition of roundabouts proposed with the project, so basically the buildings that you see on the beach now run in a north to south fashion, a rectangular north to south fashion. All the buildings are now being oriented in a rectangular fashion to the east and west, so we're actually creating more view opportunities, less massing in a north-south fashion, and they're basically on the same footprint as the old buildings. And the cost for each restroom, we're looking at anywhere between $450,000 and $500,000 per new bathroom, just for ballpark figures. That's how we get to the 1.4, 1.5, and the remodels are, negligible to that cost. And that's pretty much all the questions that I wrote down.
Thank you very much. I hope that answers most of your questions. If not, afterwards, give the staff. I think that's good. With that, back to the council. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. You answered all my questions. I move adoption.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Kern.
Well, just one of the things you touched on how expensive they are, but I think John kind of told me what the penal grade facility. I mean, the idea that it is an expensive thing, but the quality and the durability, it adds a lot to the cost. So.
I think the term is institutional grade, but
penal grade is probably inclusive of that.
Yeah. So I think it's a good project. I think the timeline. I think everybody. I mean, one of the things I constantly hear about out in the community is when those bathrooms are going to be replaced. And obviously, the one at the band shell is going to be the follow-up to that because that's probably the most heavily used of all of them because of the activity around that end of the pier. So I think this is a good project for the city of Oceanside, and it's good for our residents. So I really hope that we can get this thing moving and get it all done in an appropriate amount of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd actually put the bathrooms as number 1 on our list, if you remember. So I'm really happy that this is happening. And I am also happy that you're pursuing getting grants from the Coastal Conservancy because these are the kind of things that they do look at and award. So yeah, I did note that there were some concerns that were voiced. That these are smaller building footprints for the most part, that the roof, the open wing design also increases the public view corridors and allows greater visibility from the surrounding neighborhood. So there were some concerns about visibility, even the private views. The several amenities, basically they're increasing the number of stalls. So that's certainly something good for the public. Increasing outdoor shower outlets, drinking fountains, towel and suit hooks near the showers, inside toilet stalls. And the durability, the lifespan 30 to 50 years. The cinder block will be treated and waterproof to protect the restrooms by damage caused by storm waves. And I really like the fact that they're going to be treated, that the entire structure is going to be treated with an anti-graffiti agent. So really like that. I think that most of the concerns were responded. I don't recall having, these are on the sand, landscaping. It's really a beach experience, and people like the palm trees that we have there now, even though they're not native. So we do have our palm trees, and that's what our landscape is. So I'm going to be supporting this and certainly anxious to see if we can get some of this funded through a grant. Thank you.
Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Mr. Clerk, before I go on, I'd like to have all the students here from Rancho Buena Vista. Please stand out. You'll be live on TV. For your teachers confirm that you were here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyhow, with that being done, item number 28, please.
Item number 28 is request by Councilmember Sanchez for a presentation by the honorable organizers and direction of staff.
Thank you, and if Mr. Mark Soto can come forward. First of all, I think you've seen, people throughout the city have seen, on our Mission Avenue, you've seen the banners. I've also been getting your emails, sir, about how you're getting this in the paper and you're really getting a stir and trying to, you're really interested in getting, people to come to this great event that you're putting together. It's this weekend, and I'm going to go ahead and let you say more about what we're going to have this weekend.
Excuse me real quick. Do you want to bring your partner up to the other mic? You can.
Rick,
There's two mics there, whoever you want up there.
Well, thank you, Ms. Sanchez, and thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for allowing me to present tonight. My name is Mark Soto, and I am the founder and promoter of the Honor Bowl. We are an event that will be held this weekend at Oceanside High School. I'm sure everyone is aware of this event and possibly seen and read articles and advertisements in the UT San Diego and other news outlets. There's been an 8-page insert that was included in the UT San Diego newspaper that was mailed out last week, and I have a copy of the insert here. It rolled out to 200,000 people last Wednesday. We're very honored and happy about the support that we received from the UT San Diego. Yes, we have the biggest high school football event coming to your area in the state of California. It is the biggest event on the West Coast. Honor Bowl is being recognized nationally as one of the top events not to miss in the nation. My team and I are proud to have had a chance to get these matchups to happen, but to be honest, that is not the driving force and reason why we have spent almost a year to prepare for what we believe is going to be the greatest thing that's happened here at Oceanside. This event is not just about football. It is an opportunity to pay homage and raise awareness of our military men and women who currently serve or who have served in the United States Armed Forces. This event has 8 high school football teams who have all expressed their honor to be able to participate. Their schools, their fans, and their communities will grow in better education and awareness by attending and being a part of the Honor Bowl. This is not our first attempt to stage such an event. For the past 3 years, our football invitations have occurred and have become well received by the regions we have held our events in. Sacramento, our hometown, continues to be an integral part to play and teach their schools why winning is not as important as having the opportunity to say thank you. A simple but well-received effort to give gratitude to our troops. Everyone on our staff in the Honor Group are unpaid volunteers. In fact, we have used our own money, personal money, to help make this event a success. We do not reap financial rewards personally. We do this because it is our passion to provide a platform to hold an event that has changed the mindset of lives, many lives. Unforeseen costs that are presented at the last minute throws us such a sad curveball because it simply takes money away from the reason that we hold this event, to raise funds to invest back to our military veterans. Why am I here tonight? 2 days away from the crowning achievement that I have personally overseen. Everything has been so positive with our meetings until last week when I received a message about costs for police overtime, 1 week before the event. I mentioned Sacramento Del Oro High School, located in Loomis, has held this event for 3 years. They have never charged us to use their facility. The local services, sheriff, fire, and EMT
have never charged us to hold this event in that area. The Placer County Tourism Office were thrilled when we held this event when over 500 beds were sold. Last year, Del Oro, Granite Bay, and other teams from NorCal traveled and stayed in the Westlake Village area, and again, the tourism dollars raised, along with having a top football invitation, was stellar for everyone associated with the event. Westlake High School, Thousand Oaks Police, Fire, and EMT did not charge us to have this event in their area. We have been well received because we bring an amazing experience. Like I've mentioned, this is not just about football. In March, I traveled and met with Oceanside School District and presented them with an overview of the plans of the Honor Bowl. We nailed down the UT San Diego and brought them on as our presenting sponsor, and the media blast has been happening. They have stepped up big time. In the past few months, I've had meetings here laying the groundwork for what is coming to Oceanside. The Oceanside Chamber of Commerce and city managers, including the mayor's office, have been well aware of the Honor Bowl. I need everyone here to understand why we hold these events. I need everyone here to feel part of the pride that the Honor Bowl is about to be held in Oceanside, California. The local, state, and national media interest has been phenomenal. In fact, it is overwhelming. Does this help Oceanside? The U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Army Recruit Office in San Diego have volunteered up to 200 men and women to assist in setup, teardown, ticketing, security, and provide a personal presence because they get what we are doing. Oceanside High School will be transformed to be decorated with U.S. flags, armored vehicles, inflatable drill instructors, and so much more. The reason why Oceanside was considered to host the Honor Bowl last year was, number one, the close proximity to Camp Pendleton. Never did I ever consider the support I would generate. General John Bullard, commander of Camp Pendleton, Colonel Willie Buell, commanding officer for the U.S. Marine Wounded Warrior Battalion, Colonel Tim Rice, commander of the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marine, will all be here to participate in Oceanside at the Honor Bowl. Coach Carroll and Oceanside High School, number two. Coach Carroll and Oceanside High School participated in this event last year and traveled to Westlake Village. They saw the prestige of this event brought to that community. Coach Carroll afterwards asked me to please consider to bring this event to Oceanside. We agreed to do this. Now, because of the notoriety of the past events, we have earned the respect and support of Time Warner Cable, who will broadcast 3 of the games in the Southern California and San Diego footprint. This is the first time that Time Warner has ever broadcasted 3 games live in HD. This is happening in Oceanside. The prestige and goodwill of hosting the Honor Bowl will come back to you. Oceanside in multitudes. I told you earlier last week, with last-minute expense for police support, the cost of this added expense will surely take away from the money that we hope to generate to buy many of our wounded military veterans new wheelchairs and other medical support items they desperately need. I now am here to solicit your support. I'm so proud of what is about to occur here that my heart is full. At the same time, my arms are out to help receive and embrace an earned embrace from the city of Oceanside, that you now understand what is at stake if this unforeseen cost is incurred. Looking back on the various meetings, teleconferences, emails, I never had any inkling of this added cost to my nonprofit. Now I know that when this event is all over, the stage is bared, and those who gladly donated their time and materials have returned, the city of Oceanside, the participating schools, will continue to glow in pride. I know that with the national press, who will all write about this event, will cite that it was held in a military town where money flows deeply to help the local economy. I trust you can now better conclude that the honor group should not be charged for these services, but should be rewarded. Rewarded for what we have brought to your city. Thanks for your time, Esther, and Mayor, and Council. I hope either way, you can personally witness the Honor Bowl is not just about football.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before you step away, bring up the other gentleman, please. This was presented to us a while back, and we were very happy and wanted to be involved as a city, especially our impact on the military that is our best neighbors north of us. So with that in mind, I certainly was surprised about some of the issues from different organizations, but now you're here to ask about this one. This is Esther's item. I'll let her take it from there, but I want you to introduce the other gentleman, please, to everybody.
Thank you. This is Mr. Rick Sutter. Rick Sutter is my operations director. He does all my media, my videos, my graphics, everything that you see on our website. That's produced by Rick.
Sure. Seats at the sidebar over there. Want to have Esther and let's discuss this, please.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for believing in us. And I didn't know the story about how Oceanside had gone to see this and say, hey, we would really like to have you here in Oceanside, the OHS. I mean, class of 74, Mayor, you're class of
66.
66.
06.
What was that?
You said 06.
06. So I think what happened was your success in bringing so many people in, and I'm so happy about that, is that's what ended up happening in terms of the overtime. So I, for one, I know this is direction to staff, I asked you to be here for two reasons. Number one, because I know this is happening this weekend, and I was, I'm glad that you were able to present this, fantastic vision of what we're going to have this coming weekend. And number two, because I got your email that you did not know about, or, this is something that you did not anticipate. And so I put it on the agenda also to consider a motion to direct staff to go ahead and waive those costs. So that's my motion. I think that we are getting a whole lot, that our community is getting so much more. And again, I thank you. It's amazing how much you've been able to bring in terms of volunteers and really role models for our youth. So thank you very much.
I second the motion, please. Discussion. Councilmember Kern, please.
So, unforeseen costs. When was the initial meeting with the city special events coordinator?
Probably March of this year.
And those costs weren't disclosed to you at that time?
No, sir.
Because usually that's council policy, and it's been council policy yet that we don't do this. I mean, the idea that Ironman comes in, beach soccer, they probably put more heads in beds than this event will do, and we don't waive those costs. So my concern is that we're setting a very bad precedent here of basically, I don't want to be too critical, but poor planning, and you expect the taxpayers to pick up the costs for poor planning. So I can't support this because, one, it goes against our policy, a long-term policy that we've had in the last few years about everybody paying their own way. I don't mind whatever non-reimbursable cost that's incurred, you should pick up. Now, I'm sure that with the police department, there's staffing that's going to be on anyway, and some of those costs that we're going to have to pay because their officers are there. But the idea of the overtime costs, I don't think the taxpayers of Oceanside should pick up that cost for your event. I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate the whole idea behind it, but the idea that, and I know we want to be heroes up here by giving out taxpayers' dollars, but for us, we have this policy in place for a reason. Because my concern is, beach soccer comes in, and they're going to say, look, you waived the cost for that honor bowl, why not waive the cost for us? Ironman comes in and say, look, you waived the cost for these people, how come you can't waive the cost for us? It's a slippery slope that we go down, that we start going against the policies that we set. And there's a reason that we set these policies. For the idea is that we protect the taxpayers, and that's what we are here for. So I appreciate everything you're doing. I cannot support this motion. I appreciate what happens here, but the idea, I think you should have to pick up the cost like any other special event. So if these costs weren't disclosed, and I'm sure they probably were, because I know the whole process of special events, because I've probably done about 30 of them in this town in the last something years, that the idea that all these things usually come out in the meeting with the special events coordinator, and they tell you what the costs are when you file your traffic plan. All of those things happen in one meeting. So those, I can't believe that this is a surprise.
Can I?
Now you can respond.
Okay. We have had probably 4 or 5 meetings since last October, probably around last year this time, where we started rolling into the city and had meetings with the chamber, with Visit Oceanside, at one time there were 25 dignitaries from, there were members here from the city council that were there. That's when I met Mr. Jack Feller. I want to say that was October of last year.
It was March of the year before because...
it was a while ago.
It was before...
It was a while ago, yeah. And at that time, nothing was ever represented to us about any additional expenses, any additional costs, nothing, sir. And then after that, we've rolled into the town multiple times. We even made a presentation here, I want to say March of this last year, where we told the city about what was going on. Nothing was mentioned. We did not know until I've been working with Miss Lieutenant Karen Laser for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and it wasn't until last week that Karen respectfully called me and alerted me to this fact that we were going to be expensed for some additional fees. Were we ever aware? We've never been charged that. So if it's naivety, I don't know, but it's something that has never occurred in the 3 years that we've been building this event, and we were invited here. We've been invited by many cities across the nation to take this event to their yard, and even your neighbor down the street, San Diego's invited us, but we felt because of the proximity of Oceanside to Camp Pendleton. My son is a Marine. I have an Army son. We have a lot of experience with that base. We're staying in the barracks right now. They've allowed us to stay with free, hotel. That we never were approached with anything like that. So, Mr. Kern, I wish I could say that you were correct in stating that, but you're not. We just found out.
Excuse me, Mr. City Manager.
Honorable Mayor, council members, just to clarify, because they're on the school district property, they did not and are not getting a special event permit. We have had conversations with the school district about getting those plans together, and I believe, as you just said, it wasn't until the last couple of weeks that they actually finally sat down with the police department. But because they were on private property, on the school district property, we could not get them to actually file a special event permit. And quite honestly, they still haven't filed a special event permit. There is no traffic control plan. It's the traffic plan has been put together by the police department. And again, I believe, as you mentioned, it was a couple weeks ago that they actually got with Lieutenant Laser to put that plan together based on the impacts to the neighborhood. But as a regular special event permit, we still don't. We have the,
So we
don't have
still
one
don't have
because it's on private property.
So we don't, no, I mean...
And it
so-
would be how much, $6,000?
The out-of-pocket overtime cost is roughly $5,800.
Yeah, the idea that somehow, maybe the school district let you down, that the idea, maybe the school district can cover those costs for you. But I don't think the general taxpayers of Oceanside should cover those costs because there was a communication breakdown between the school district and the city of Oceanside. So I appreciate what you're doing, but I know we all like to be heroes by spending taxpayers' money up here, but I don't think we need to be a hero tonight. So I can't support it.
Thank you. Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess first, before I comment on the request, I would like to ask the city's attorney's opinion on the legitimacy of the motion, because there's nothing here that's saying we're going to be spending money. And if there was basically an issue of whether or not we had proper staff interaction, certainly I would have been in a better position to ask more questions amongst the staff and the organizers to form an opinion. Because certainly every now and then the city messes up or there isn't communication, and I would agree with Councilman Kern that, we have to be real careful before we make an exception, because then there will be 100 groups that ask why was the exception made here and not for us. So I would like to know if the motion is even legitimate based on the wording of the...
I think your concern is a Brown Act concern. Has it been appropriately agendized? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I don't see that it's been agendized for a request to spend money.
It has been agendized, I would agree that it's somewhat broad, but it has been agendized to provide direction to staff related to the Honor Bowl. So though it is somewhat vague, I think it would, I think it's legal. If the council wanted, if they wanted to move forward with to waive these fees, I think that it's been appropriately agendized.
Well, I just feel that I'm kind of being ambushed here with a request for money that wasn't being put straightforward in the motion. I guess the legality is settled, but I would rather have the issue of spending money come back and we can find out, basically, if we have an issue that got messed up or not. But I'm not ready to make an exception tonight, and I wish the motion would have been, or the agenda item, been better worded so that certainly I could have been better prepared to address this issue. Thank
Did you call? Oh, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Feldman.
So I first heard about this probably March of last year, before Oceanside went to Thousand Oaks, and actually helped facilitate the meeting to get the parties that were involved together, Coach Carroll, the chamber. We met at the chamber offices. We had a pretty good consensus of where this was going, and at that time they said they wanted to, they thought this would be a great place to come. Oceanside went, they won. I mean, they've just, I think, fallen for this whole project head over heels. I've realized all along that this item was about the memo last week that we got about the Honor Bowl and the cost of the police services. And as far as every one of those special events, they've been granted. I mean, we participated wholly in almost all of them, but as they've grown, whether this comes back to Oceanside or not, but the Ironman and the beach soccer tournament and the turkey trot have all received city funds in the granting of a waiver of fees at their beginning. And not to say that this is going to open the floodgates for things going in the future, but in my mind, this is a worthy cause to invest in this year for the future. I would definitely, if we're going to continue to have it, just to be eyes wide open. As you said, maybe a little naive over what was happening, but I know the school district's been very supportive. I know John is just head over heels about getting this here, and I know Leslie sitting back there, she's glad about it, and the chamber's glad, and I think this is a can't miss situation this year, so I'm going to support the motion. I've heard the attorney say it's okay to do this. It's not illegal to do this. I'm hoping that's what I heard. So I support this, and I if I didn't have 2 Friday Night Live flag football games and a JV and a varsity game over at El Camino, I would probably be there. I'm going to try to figure out something. So with that, I hope we can just figure this out for the future, and hopefully this can come back. So,
Councilmember Sanchez, I'll let you finish up, and my comments on this, first off, is this was brought up a long time ago, and I was, like everybody else, ecstatic. It's good for Oceanside, it's good for tourism, it's good for our city, it's good for our good neighbors in the north, the men and women heroes we have out there. In hindsight, and let's face it, we watch for the tourists and the taxpayers' money, but you know, I can hear the reports in the UT of us saying no. I mean, it isn't worth it. It'd be crucified in our city, number one. Number two, the school district has always had a bunch of security at every game on their school. They'll be there anyhow as security officers. I can guarantee they will. They would have their liability. So with that, I think the turnout or requirement of police officers is going to be fairly minimum in time and money, my opinion. I don't think I could get my old uniform on and fit, or I'd be there as security, but you know, a fat old officer probably wouldn't show up well, but anyhow, I wouldn't deter anybody, let me put it that way. I think that we have something here that's good for all of us. Let's cut it short and say, let's vote on it, please.
Motion approved, 3-2, current and
Thank
fully.
you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time and effort, and
And it's this Friday at OHS,
I'll be
4
there.
o'clock.
Yeah, would you like to know a little bit more about the event?
Why don't we do that? You have to finish up, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let you do that. There's the schedules right here, but go ahead and say so that we all know what time we're supposed to be there.
Okay, on Friday night at 4 o'clock is a JV game between Oceanside versus Corona Centennial. At 8 o'clock is when the, what we believe is the game of the nation is going to happen between Oceanside High School and Sarah Gardena. Currently, these two teams are two of the top ranked teams in the nation, and the nation is abuzz when it comes to those two games being played on Friday night. The mayor will be receiving a game ball from former Navy SEALs that will be flying down by 10 skydivers. Will be parachuting in.
Wow.
He will give the mayor a game ball. He will address the crowd, and at that time, the ball will be given to an Oceanside hero Marine by the name of Staff Sergeant Tim Chambers, who lives here in Oceanside. And Google his name if you want to know about this Marine and what he's done in the past 10 years for our United States military. On Saturday, we will open again with a Marine versus Marine football event at 9 o'clock. It's the first time they've ever played off Camp Pendleton in a full contact football game between two Marine battalions, which will be a lot of fun to open up the day. At 12 o'clock will be Del Oro High School versus Notre Dame, two top teams in the state of California. They'll be rolling in. Notre Dame is bringing their band, which is 200 people strong, and if you've never seen a band, Notre Dame brings their band, and it's beautiful to see. So they'll be here. At 4 o'clock, we go live on Time Warner across LA Footprint and San Diego Footprint with the game between Oaks Christian and Upland. Very powerful teams. To have those teams playing here in this backyard of Oceanside will be amazing. And at 8 o'clock is a Corona Centennial game between St. Bonaventure. These two teams in the last 3 years have battled it out, and it's for bragging rights. But before that game occurs, we will be honoring Gold Star parents. These are parents that have lost their kids in battle. They will be on the field with the commanders of Camp Pendleton. The ball will be flown in again by former Navy SEALs. Will be given to the colonel of the Wounded Warrior Regiment that runs the United States Marine Corps Regiment throughout all of the nation. He will turn around, address the crowd, and then we'll hand that ball to a triple amputee wounded veteran that will be surprised because he's not expecting it. So this will all occur on live TV, and thank you, Council, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Mr. Feller, thank you for everybody for your support. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You finish up it.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, just confirming. Mr. Clerk, agree item number 26, please.
Item number 26 is adoption of a resolution approving a conditional use permit RCUP 13-0003, and a regular coastal permit RRP-13-0003 to allow for beer sampling and tastings with associated sales of related merchandise within an existing building located at 505 and 507 Coast Highway, Surfside Tap Room, applicant Tracy Hemstreet.
Thank you very much. As mayor, I'll open this public hearing and ask for disclosures.
I've heard about these places before, but not for 30 years, so I have heard from staff on this. Thank you.
Staff? No contact.
I've been hearing about this beer tasting, tap room, coming to Oceanside for quite some time, and the stir in the community. So I can't really pin down who in the community, but it was all real positive.
Thank you very much.
Staff and public.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Clerk, correspondence, petitions.
None.
Thank you very much. Scott, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the public, council members. I'm Scott Nightingale from the Planning Division, here to present item number 26 for the adoption of a resolution approving a conditional use permit and regular coastal permit to allow beer sampling and tasting located at 505-507 North Coast Highway for a business known as the Surfside Tap Room. The conditional use permit and regular coastal permit is for a request to permit a beer tasting sampling business. Discretionary review was required for this conditional use permit and the regular coastal permit for on-site sale of alcohol beverages without food service. Just a little history here. Since the business doesn't serve or prepare any food in conjunction with the tasting, this is not considered a restaurant. So beer and wine consumption is permitted by right if it was a restaurant. Unfortunately, this isn't. So a conditional use permit is required. And due to the location within the coastal zone, a regular coastal permit is required as well. The site is located on the northwest corner of Sport Fisher Drive and Coast Highway. The subject zoning is D9 within the redevelopment or downtown district commercial and multi-mixed use zoning. And it's surrounded by other D9 properties to the north, east, and south, and a subject D5 multifamily type zoning is to the west. Here's an image of all the surrounding properties. We have a Remax Realty office to the north, multi-commercial tenant to the east, multifamily apartment type and single-family mixed to the west, a mixed-use development directly to the south, and to the southeast you have a convenience store. The site is located on two 5,000 square foot lots. The existing 2,489 square foot building exists at the northern portion of the lot. The southern portion exists with the parking lot and landscaping. The site was originally developed as a car dealership back in 1952. Since then, it was occupied as a flower shop. Surfside Tap Room wishes to use the building as a retail store and tasting facility in association with the Oceanside Ale Works Brewery. The business will operate as a beer tasting facility and will sell beer for on-site consumption within the building. They will also have selling of apparel, glassware, kegs, and refillable jugs known as growlers. This will be all part of their business. The hours of operation will be similar to a beer tasting facility that we approved not too long ago off of Tremont Street. They'll consist from Sunday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The applicant has indicated that during special events or any type of catering services, they'll have food trucks, which will be parked in the parking lot. They will provide food to the patrons, but this will be strictly for special events where they'll have to get a special events permit. No expansions to the building will occur with this application except for interior renovations. These improvements consist of 2 ADA restrooms, bar tops, a new cooler, small office, and new roll-up doors. As a part of the project approval, and based on staff's analysis and conclusions and findings, we have established that, and based off the Downtown Advisory Committee, the project meets general plan consistency. It helps achieve balance of commercial land uses. Also meets the downtown ordinance as conditioned, meets the required findings for compatibility. Also meets the LCP, Local Coastal Program, consistency with general commercial designation. There's no effect on coastal areas because there's no expansions to the building. With that, Staff recommends that you approve the categorical exemption and approve the conditional use permit and regular coastal permit. For project approval, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Scott. See the sidebar. Real question, that's on-premise drinking only, right?
I'm sorry?
On-premise drinking only. They can't carry it outside.
Exactly, on premise.
Thank you. Have a seat at the sidebar then.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing item. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward to address the council for 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Nadine Scott, 25-year resident of this wonderful city and over 55 on the coast. This is a great project. It's going to be a good use for that part of town. That part of town's kind of getting dingy, so I really support it. What I have a problem with tonight is this is a conditional use permit, and myself and a number of people are on a special notification list, and this is the first I've heard of it. It's a constant problem that the notification list is not getting notification of these types of activities for the coastal downtown area. So I'm asking if you could direct staff to make sure they include us in the notices for these types of things, because the coastal conditional use permit's definitely something the public should have been engaged in, notified of. Even though I completely support this project, we need to improve our notice to the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak may come forward.
Hey, Chris. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Chris Wilson, 770 Harbor Cliff Way. This is actually an area of town that I frequent with great regularity, probably close to a daily basis, that I'm walking around down there. Most mornings I get coffee across the street, and one of the things that I see in at least that stretch of Coast Highway is sort of a lack of foot traffic. And I think this would be a great opportunity to draw some of that foot traffic north along Coast Highway, and I think a lot of the other businesses in the area would benefit from that. There was a swimsuit shop just across the street from this proposed location that recently closed down, and one of the things that the owner mentioned to me when I was in there shopping with my girlfriend was that they just didn't have enough foot traffic there to support the business. So I think anything like this that would, we've already got Stone downtown, we've got a number of other breweries that draw tourism in, and I think this would be a great addition to the area. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward this time.
I see none. With that, I'll I'll close these public hearings and come back to the council. Thank you very much. Councilman Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I am very excited about this project. I think it's wonderful. I do love the idea of gourmet food trucks. I know that there's something that happens in, I forget where in San Diego, but it's like a wine tasting, and they do this once a month. Now, I know that's probably, maybe you'll get there, but it sounds like an exciting thing to have, to enjoy beer, tasting beer. I'm more towards wine, but I've been getting into beer too, and having, you know, food nearby so I can continue to do that, like kind of space it out. So I am happy to move approval, adopt the resolution, adoption of the resolution approving conditional use permit and the regular coastal permit to allow for beer sampling and tasting with associated sales of related merchandise within an existing building located at 505 and 507 North Coast Highway. Thank you. Thank you for being in Oceanside.
I'll second that.
And we have a second thing. Councilman Kern, while you're seconding that, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Well, I know where we're going to find the city manager after he retires now.
With you.
So, the only thing, and I like the idea and I like the use, the only thing, we're in a coastal city, and hopefully things are successful enough that you come back in a few years to have outside seating. You know, the idea to have the ability to sit outside versus in a room when you're 2 blocks from the beach. So obviously that's not something we're going to address tonight. I like this design. Hopefully it comes pretty close to that. The one thing that was mentioned, and I think we talked about it earlier, Oceanside Ale Works, they are not directly involved in this. Could you come up and address it? Because I think it's the opportunity now, even though I like Oceanside Ale Works, and I know some of us up here like their red, but the idea is that it'll be other opportunities to taste brews from other breweries. Go ahead. And identify yourself for the clerk.
Tracy Hen Street, 5175 Via Malaguena, Oceanside, California.
Mayor and council members, thank you very much for the opportunity today. Initially, when I started my project, I was working closely with Oceanside Works. Since then, I've had to pursue my own ABC license, which then allowed me to officially break official involvement with them. Again, I'm a long patron of OEW. I've been going there for many years, and the fact that I originally started out wanting to support a local brewery, and as such, I'm still going to support them. I'm going to, every beer that they have on tap, I want to have an opportunity to serve out of our tap room. But now, as a result of me pursuing my own ABC license, I can expand out to some of the other local microbreweries as well. So yes, initially, as close involvement, we're working closely together, but because of ABC limitations and licensing, I had to completely break ties to where now it's I'm at liberty to serve really whoever I want to serve in there.
Okay. So thank you. I just want to get that out to the public that it'll be more than one brand, more than one style. So I know I will probably be there a couple times. You know, because I'm a longtime patron of Oceanside Works too. So thank you.
Councilmember Feller, please.
You drink beer?
Just a little.
Okay. So it's been identified a couple of times as two addresses. Or what is the address?
It's two parcels, but it's 507 North Coast Highway.
You're going to call it 507?
That's correct.
Okay. And I don't know if I'm concerned about outside consumption, but it is not something that you plan on at this point.
I plan on eventually going back to ABC and submitting an updated to where my tastings can be at. What that requires me to do is secure the facility a little better outside with fences. And also, early on, I wanted to make sure that I was a good tenant to my neighbors. You know, we do have residential housing behind us. So I wanted to ensure that when I do decide to go that route, that we can keep noise down and make sure we can still present the area without having a major disturbance to the residences.
Well, it's indoor consumption, but you are going to have for sale product.
That's correct. The ABC license I'm pursuing allows me to sell bottled beer, and they can do off-site sales.
Yeah.
So they can
I just want to make sure that was clear because I heard something different a minute ago. So
yeah, so they can. So
all.
basically, any tap that I put on, I'm going to make sure I can back it up with the bottle so they come and taste.
So if you want to buy a bottle and give it to me as a gift, you can do that.
Good luck. I hope you sell moderate amounts.
Thank you.
Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you, Mayor. First, let the record show I only consume alcohol for medicinal purposes. And I just want to follow up on the issue of the notification, because I know a while back we voted on something that reduced the required notification, and that was based on the assurance that the permanent list would be maintained so that anyone who was concerned about projects in the city would be notified. So was this a project that fell under the requirement to notify people on the permanent list?
That's correct.
Based on our current policy?
Yes, that's correct. I'll go back to the office. I'll have to take a look at what we have on the people that are asking to be notified, and be sure that the appropriate people are on there. I know within the planning division we have that list, so I can most likely just grab that from them.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that that list is working the way it's supposed to, that our community activists who are concerned about projects are getting notified when these items come up.
Councilmember Feline, if I can address that. Ms. Scott has been receiving notices of public hearings and projects that are underway for some time for projects that were outside of the downtown. Relatively recently, however, downtown projects have come under the purview of development services. It's a matter of instructing our clerical staff that the parties of record that we typically send all notices to, including Ms. Scott, need to be included in the downtown projects as well. And that can be taken care of tomorrow.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're notifying everyone who wants to be notified so that You know, we're basically in a fishbowl here, and everyone can see what the city's up to, so thank you.
With that, please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Item 29, please. City Attorney.
I'll go ahead and title the ordinance. This is second read of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending zoning regulations to allow emergency shelters by right within certain light industrial zones and define transitional and supportive housing as residential uses subject only to those restrictions that apply to other residential dwellings of the same type in the same zone in accordance with state law and the city's housing element for the fifth housing element cycle 2013 to 2021, Housing Element Program 11.
Thank you very much. With that, public.
We have one member of the public wishing to speak on this item. Joan Brubaker, you may come forward at this time.
Good evening. I noticed this came up on the council meeting. I didn't attend, so I wasn't acquainted with it. It reminds me of the old style where the family who had the business down on the street lived above it, just like Little Italy down in San Diego, I'm sure. I noticed, however, something I do wish to call your attention to, and that is when you fill out this form that is necessary, it calls for it to be published in a local or a newspaper. You're calling out North County Times. That has been published in almost 2 years. All you can do is either acquiesce to the Coast News, which is free, or advertise in Mr. Manchester's UT. You can give him some more money then, just like we gave him about a couple of mil for a photograph. But you need to change that newspaper. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
No further public on this item.
Move adoption.
Second.
Thank you. No further comments. Please vote.
Motion approved 4-1, Sanchez no.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, help me. I think number 24 next. And that should be...
Yes, items off of the agenda. First, we have Brian Crew.
Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Brian Crew, 30855 Vista Campana, South Oceanside. I'm a former city commissioner for the Oceanside. And what has happened, Mr. Kern is talking about taxpayer and costs and so forth. Last year, the city council dissolved our volunteer senior commission. City commission just wanting to add a few things to benefit seniors in the city. AIRP talks about age bias. There's a federal law against age discrimination. There's also a federal law act of 1975 which deals with age. There are 41 cities in Southern California that have senior commissions. And the second largest city in San Diego County does not anymore. There are 40,000 seniors and veterans who are not able to ask a program to be considered by City Council. Why? Because there's no senior commission. It's not necessary for me to go all the way to the red light. But lady and 4 gentlemen are complete City Council. If you're not going to back up our seniors, why would anybody who is a senior ever come to the city of Oceanside and get this kind of reception? I'm done.
Thank you, Glenn.
Nadine Scott may come forward this time.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council, and public at large. I'm so glad he's here tonight talking about dissolving the Senior Commission, because you had such brilliant, wonderful volunteers, and our senior fair was just fantastic. And when you dumped on those people and got rid of them for no reason, our senior fair is thin. Really poorly done. It's really a shame. You guys did a beautiful job. Thank you. So imagine my surprise when I pick up the paper and realize you're wanting to dissolve the Integrated Waste Commission that I happen to be chairwoman of. Talk about a slap in the face. Staff didn't even have the courtesy to call us and let us know. And so I said, okay, I'm going to watch the tape and see what went down, because it was only supposed to be to approve our work plan and bylaws. And imagine my surprise when staff member Dale and Foster both made several untrue statements to the council in a public meeting. It was very disappointing. Ms. Dale at a recent water utilities meeting, where I might mention there were 8 staff sitting around doing nothing. 3 actually did something, but the other 5 were doing nothing while they're burning their salary. You know, you guys are all about cost savings. That's your pretext for dissolving our commission, which is beyond ludicrous. We have 7 dedicated, diverse volunteers representing the entire city that have a lot of expertise in the area of solid waste, reduce, recycle, reuse. We've worked very hard. Staff had the nerve to say our commission does nothing. As you can imagine, my commissioners are wonderfully upset. Staff also alleged that the director, Ms. Dale, spends 8 to 10 hours on our commission, which is absolutely not true. She doesn't even come to our meetings most of the time. And when she does, she may speak to us maybe 10 minutes with an oral report. She has never given us a written report. I have 3 pages of things that this commission does that's of value to this city and every single ratepayer in this city. I will be sending that around to council. Right now I'm meeting with council members so you'll understand what we do. This is nothing more than a personal vendetta, because as chairperson, I'm very supportive of waste management. We help get the contract to our ratepayers that enhances service by far. But that isn't all we do, Mr. Feller. We do much, much, much more than just the contract, and you did say that on the tape. So I will be presenting the 3 pages to each of you individually. Hopefully I'll have appointment time with each of you. You've been generous about that so far. The whole pretext that it's cost savings is really incorrect. As chair, I make sure we meet for 1 hour. Also as chair, I make sure our agenda is 1 page. Also as chair, I make sure we have a quorum each and every time. So when Director Dale tells you we can't meet a quorum, she's lying. And my commissioners were really unhappy to hear what she was telling you. We were told not to come because all it was a mere pro forma approval of our work plan and bylaws. The interesting fact that it isn't a pretext, as an individual, my neighborhood is suing Waste Management because of excessive noise. So the only way to try to handicap the neighborhood is getting rid of me on the Integrated Waste Commission, which I believe Ms. Sanchez pointed out is pretty ridiculous because I ain't going away. I'm very dedicated to my community. I have a 25-year ethic of public service. That's what our volunteer commissioners do. We believe in public service. We are saving this city so much money. You're an example of it right here. You're drinking water out of a container, not bottles. One little teeny thing we accomplished. We have got so much more to do on the zero waste plan. There's lots of things that need to be accomplished. Director Dale also lied when she said we don't participate in the community events. Every single commissioner participates in a minimum of 1, if not 5 or 7 events. So you're getting bang for the buck, just like you got out of the senior commission. We also have a different culture than the Utilities Commission. Their job is to sell a commodity and do infrastructure. Our job is to bring the city forward, stop dumping trash, maximize our resources, and our cultures are different. And I can tell you, I don't think there's anyone on Utilities Commission who really has the ethic of loving trash and everything that goes with it like we do. So I will continue to meet with you, but I wanted to correct the record. Ms. Dale and Ms. Foster both told you untruths. It's very shameful of them in a public forum when I have 7 people on my commission who will tell you those were not true.
Scott,
You will be saving costs by keeping the commission with us. I apologize.
No, my meeting, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Joan Brubaker may come forward this time. Ms. Brubaker, you're up to speak.
Hello.
really made a pest of myself, but I had a few interests in this agenda. Some time ago, there was an anti-smoking effort put out by Sanchez, which I believe fell flat on its face eventually or something. But I called to her attention at one time, and since I've noticed repeated articles in the newspaper regarding e-cigarettes. Now, if and when any body here in the Oceanside government wants to make an ordinance about smoking, you need seriously to consider these e-cigarettes, because they're just now beginning to analyze the vapors coming off that and floating about the room and in other people's breathing areas as to whether they are beneficial, not anything to be worried about, or otherwise. So if you're ever thinking of another ordinance to do with smoking in any of your locations, please consider the e-cigarettes, because they're going to be coming online more and more. Thank you.
Ms. Sandra Wootens may come forward this time.
My name is Sandra Whitens, and I live at 2010 Rue de la Montagne, Oceanside, California. I represent the community of St. Malo Heights, and we live in a gated community overlooking Oceanside Boulevard. We are south on Crouch and Grandview, and part of our HOA property has a substantial canyon. On August the 12th, I discovered that my home had been broken into and all of my jewelry taken. I called the police, and they came out and immediately took a report. The following Friday, we had transit-type people walking at the top of the canyon behind our homes. Police were called, and Code Enforcement Officer Bernard Tennant went into the camp, and citations were issued, and a gun was confiscated. Both of them responded to me that same day, explaining what occurred. These transits are getting bolder and bolder, and looking for things that they can steal to support their drug habits. I met the following week with Bernard Tennant and Police Officer Moore. On my way to this meeting, I went down Apple Street and was amazed at the support systems that are there for the low-income, homeless, and transient-type individuals, which include gang members, criminals, and drug users. The transient type are the ones who come and camp on our private property and create safety to our community, and a huge cleanup cost that we, the taxpayers of St. Malo Heights, are subject to time and time again. My question for the City Council: we at St. Malo Heights, taxpayers for Oceanside City, and I am sure we are not the only ones that are affected, we are concerned for our safety, our personal property, and the cleanup costs that we incur, which last year was $5,000, and a couple of weeks ago, it was $500. If you, the City of Oceanside, are supporting some of these free services that keep the transient-type individuals in our area to camp on our private property time and time again, then you should be responsible for the cost of cleanup. Maybe then you would see the need for increasing the hours that the code enforcement can go in with these police officers and do citations and finally end up putting them in jail and hopefully getting them out of the area. We need more police coverage for that area and for the safety of our taxpayers and their personal property. And I appreciate your time, and just for your information, and you probably already know this, the code enforcement officer, Bernard Tennant, only has 4 hours a week that he can get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and ride with a police officer to go into these encampments. Now, there are many in the city of Oceanside. 4 hours does not do it. He can't even begin to get into all the areas that need to be gone into and cited, and these people eventually put in jail. Because the police officer tells me that's the only thing that's going to get them out of the area, because they don't like jail. And I really appreciate your help on this. We have 34 homes in our community, and we are all concerned about our safety and the cost of the cleanup that it is costing us. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I won't go. You're on items not on the agenda, so we can't really respond to you. I think to make you even more upset, read item number 29 on the agenda tonight. That's the state of California telling us things we have to do, not could do, regarding homeless in the areas and whatever. But your police department does respond. It's a busy one. We get more and more in the area because of the good weather. A lot of them are ex-military. I hope we can help you, but like I say, some of the regulations are forced down our throat as a city from the state.
Okay, I appreciate that. Any thought on it is appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate yours too.
No further public?
I didn't hear you. What?
No further public on this.
Well, thank you very much. And I see we only have the city council reports, okay?
What about 15 on the consent?
We did all those.
We did all 14?
Yeah, it was one item that was 13 pool, and there's a motion for the remainder. So we did.
Yeah, everything has been covered except for the council reports.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm fine. Sometimes I do mess up. I'm just saying if that all I see on here, unless the city clerk has more.
The clerk has to say that, I just didn't have it written down.
Yeah, sure. And the other one was city council reports.
Correct.
I'm up.
Mayor Wood.
Thank you. Everybody who is still awake and listening to us, I hope everybody enjoyed the Labor Day weekend. It was a little bit toasty out there. I was traveling around the community too, and I can't remember that much humidity that I ever could remember in Oceanside. It felt like I was back in Florida for the last week, and I hope everybody survived that weather. Other things, I'd like to congratulate all the graduates from Kaplan College that recently graduated. Myself and two other mayors went over in Escondido and thanked them. Everybody and individuals are entering the medical and the dental field, quite a big turnout area. So I'm happy to see that some of these people are getting education and vocational training. Number one. The last one I have here, and I won't do it necessarily until the end, but Tom Dempsey, one of the local activists when the community passed away a few weeks ago. Our thoughts go out to Tom's family and friends. He was very active in his community, spoke here quite a bit, so he did pass away. Maybe at the end we can have a moment of silence for a gentleman that was pretty active in the community. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor Curran.
Thank you. Actually, a series of meetings in the San Diego County Water Authority that I'm a member of, and we're actually dealing with the regional water facilities plan right now, so how we're going to plan for water in the next 20 to 30 years. And one of those key elements that you've probably been aware of is the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. So I have a couple meetings next week about the same thing, but there's also, you know, the Water Authority hasn't taken a set position yet about what they want the project to look like. They do want the idea that we will have water security going forward. So some people think that's the 900 feet per minute plan. Some of them think it's, or the twin tunnels, and some of it's a single tunnel. So the idea that we're going to have to figure out how we pay for that and to do that. So that's, you know, next week at the special meeting with that. On a closer to home note, I just want to recognize the city manager for swimming the pier again. Councilmember Filler and I were out there almost cheering him on because it was so foggy I ended up leaving. So Director Buell actually swam the pier too. So the idea that I'm glad that happened. I'm happy for y'all. And the other thing is, all of us except one person up here attended the skate park opening over on Fusat Road, and it was, yeah. So we were all waiting for Councilmember Feller to take the first jump into the bowl, but he had other plans. But no, that is quite the facility. So all you people that know how to skateboard, the skateboard park, it's on Alex Road. It's up next to the levee up there, and so I know the city attorney was there with his two kids, but he didn't get on the board either, but he forgot his helmet at home, I suppose.
After you left.
Oh, after I left. Okay, you didn't want to see. But anyway, that is a tremendous addition to the city of Oceanside. So I hopefully people treat it right and take care of it. You know, that's our concern. So thank you.
Councilmember Feline.
Thank you. Yes, I certainly attended the skateboard park opening as well, and it's a real wonderful facility, as was mentioned. But I would about, I think half the people were there without helmets or any kind of knee or elbow protection. And I'd imagine that's fun until the gravity catches up with you in an unfortunate way. And I'd encourage every parent to have their kids wear helmets and elbow and knee protection, and certainly everyone who's above the age of 18 to do the same. That'll allow you to enjoy the facility in spite of the occasional accident. And so that that's certainly my encouragement there. The other event, since the last meeting I had the pleasure of attending, was the change of command ceremony at Camp Pendleton, and it's always wonderful to participate with Camp Pendleton and be a military town. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Councilor Feller.
Thank you. I decided I might get stroked out if I went out there and watched all that happening without helmets and skate gear, and hopefully there's no stickers on everything out there at this point. And you know, I reluctantly have approved these, but they haven't proven that they will take care of them, and I hope that gets better. The skaters just don't have regard for our public property or people's personal property, and they could use a lesson or two from our grandmothers. There's a grand reopening of Palmquist Elementary School on 9/6, on 9/11. I think it is. There's a grand reopening of Mission Elementary. Ivy Ranch has their Western Hoedown this Saturday as well. It's kids back to school, and I know there's lots of traffic issues around schools, but I just hope we're all safe. I'm sure glad the kids from Rancho Buena Vista come over here and get to see how this works up close and personal. It's nice to see the kids here. That's it. Thanks.
Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you very much. I did attend Mr. Dempsey's services. Jimmy, thanks so much for giving that the city council, each member, a heads up on that. It was, you know, I felt like I was visiting with him. That's how I felt. He did so much for his community, Esplanade, the wall, the whole thing. He was so committed. My folks would run into him at St. Mary's, and you know, they'd be so excited because, you know, he was there, and he was always so helpful. And then he moved over to St. Patrick's, and I know he was very much loved there too. I got to meet his wife that I had never met before, and she was absolutely just so charming and so wonderful. Her eyes lit up when she heard my name. I guess he had talked about the things that he had done at City Hall, and so she started talking about, you know, you could tell she was so proud. His wife, his daughter, and his son, they were all so very proud of him. So it did feel like I was with them, and you know, they don't come any better, Mr. Dempsey. I also attended the skateboard park. It was, you know, phenomenal to see these kids skate. State of the art. We have a wonderful venue for our kids. Coming up, as we know, this coming Friday is our Honor Bowl, which was in the paper. I don't get it anymore, but I was really excited to know that the community here in Oceanside is really coming out for such a wonderful effort. It sounds like so many volunteers. Sounds like this is really putting us on the map, and I am so proud that we can do this and do this as a community. The next thing that's coming up, besides things that have been mentioned, is we're having Arbor Day celebration Thursday, September 12th. So that's a week from tomorrow, and it's at our own Buddy Todd Park. And it starts at 10. It's 10 to 2, and there'll be it's an environmental resource fair, wood carving demonstration, tree planting. I believe the tree planting is by some of the kids. So it's really, really exciting. That's the 12th, that's Thursday, then that following Sunday, which would be September 15th, here in the Civic Center, we're having Noche Mexicana. This is our 10th annual, so please come on down. It's a free event, 2 to 7 here at the Civic Center. So right after the Spanish Mass at St. Mary's, we're having kids from Oceanside that will be dancing ballet folklorico. We'll have also a mariachi juvenil, so it's kids that are in mariachi, and we'll also have a trio and a clown, a famous act, two clowns, the dance of the viejitos, which I always love because I guess that's where I'm going to end up somewhere, but you know, they really clown it up, and it's really fun. So it is the celebration of independence. That's the sense that you get, is that it's independence, and it's a sense that I love about here in Oceanside. And let's see, is there anything else? Yes, one more thing. Yesterday, 12:30, thereabouts, a new being came in. My niece Christina had her second baby, Anthony. So we're also very excited. Part of, this is our 5th generation here in Oceanside. So she's doing well. Baby's doing well. Baby's almost 10 pounds, 9 pounds 10 ounces. So what is it? 9 pounds. What is it? How many ounces? Or whatever. Almost 10 pounds. So as I understand it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was out. So who'd have think? So Anthony, again, we're so very, very proud to have him join his older brother from who's almost a year now, and that's Thomas. So now I have 3 great nephews, and loving them. We'll never compete there with Councilmember Feller there. So yes, Mr. Mayor, if we could end this meeting in honor of Mr. Dempsey, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And on that same note, I'm going to adjourn this council meeting to September 18th, a Wednesday at 2 o'clock for a mayor-council workshop. I'll adjourn that for this meeting till that date, but if you don't mind, please, a moment of silence for Mr. Tom Dempsey, the gentleman who was very active in the community, and I think I will miss him. Thank you very much. And to the family, best of luck, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. Thank you.
Get to your duties. Well, please don't say that duties. More.